People need to stand us now for a third time this week.
Third time. I am getting a bit tired. We can just cancel.
Yeah, I think it was enough for today. No.
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
We're gonna
So,
code. Adrian doesn't want to code. Adrian wants an excuse to kick the bucket and say, I deserve an old.
you're a bit leggy for me, or is it me?
It might be you.
It
One,
might be
two.
me.
Okay. I
Okay.
think it's you. Yeah, I think it's you.
I think it's you. So let the audience decide. Who was it? Right? Oh, okay.
Well, it might be me, actually.
So we have some people here. So I was totally unsure how many people will actually join Fridays because we don't stream Fridays in a regular. So it is actually not a regular stream. It is a start today.
And
A start to
we're not streaming Fridays regularly. I'm just
yeah.
pointing it out.
Don't get afraid. So it's just an it is it should not be the regular thing. So it is about app development. So it is about practical stuff. This is the reason why we've done that in a special session to take a look if, first of all, the interest is there in the audience about doing some hands-on work and not exemplary, doing something in a real environment. So it is not, let's say, environment where we build something which we actually sell or it's a business product. It is more like a product of passion, let's say, but it's built under the same circumstances, just without a team. It's basically a single person effort, but we're doing that in the terminology of this, or in the frame of the stream, in the environment, so that we have Dennis as commentary, as so that we have some discussions about things. And I just took a look at the code base today because I thought it was quite a while ago, but it is already, at least it is nearly 1 year ago when I last worked on this project, and it is about a mapping tool. So it's about a tool where no, it's not about a tool. It's actually some lifestyle thing where you can create stories for yourself, or shareable stories, actually shareable moments, which can be conserved for the future a little bit. So you can, it is a map-based tool where you can create moments and chain them to a story and process them later. So actually this is the vision. I go through the vision today as well. What is the idea about that? And you as the audience will be able to use that. So if we're going to do that as a project, as a regular one, from time to time, you will be able to use that app as well and see the progress live, and you can give us feedback in this case, which could be an interesting part as well. Yes, so I actually lost it a bit at the point. So yes, this is actually what we're going to do about, and we want to know.
The idea
Yeah.
is that you, as the viewer, don't have to be the ideal end user of this application. Rather, we are showing you how to be the developer of such application. So how to follow through on principles and concepts such as TDD, or working in a React application with in architecture, or how to test, how to create abstractions for third-party libraries and SDKs, how PWAs work, how Adrian's pipeline works, but how to deploy live onto a mobile device in a Next.js app, right? So it is in the sense the app does something. It's not just a template project, and it's not a kata, right? So the problem is real. Adrian does use this application, but it is not mass marketed.
Yeah, okay. I'm not yet using it really, so it's more like a testable thing. And in the very beginning, it was actually a prototype for something I wanted to build, or we actually have built in our company. And I decided to take this project a little bit further and really create some kind of product out of that to make it actually, or bring it to life. As it is always, it was a side project. So I think we said that already, that side projects are actually a good thing for developers to just do something outside of their regular context. And the point is, from time to time, you don't have time. So side projects tend to oftentimes not become finished. And I thought to myself that, or I remembered that we have this project, and it might be a good thing to do that in context of our tech journey, to use that a little bit, to not have two dry katas all the time, to just work on something. I would start quickly to just show it. How can we do that? Here. No, entire screen. Screen 1. Is that actually doable or size-wise?
We might have to increase the font size. That's the inspector.
This is not only the inspector, this is not necessary.
We can't read, we can see the app, but we can't read the text on the right side. So, but if that's not relevant, then this is good.
Exactly. So we're talking about something which is now a little bit larger. So we have some kind of little app here. This app is at the moment based on Mapbox. So you see that watermark down here. And we're talking about an app where a decent implementation of a map is inside. You can have it like this, and basically you what you know from Google Earth you actually have here as well. There is a location thing inside here. This is the position where I am at the moment, pretty downtown. Actually, it's nearly countryside. It is interestingly. What is that? Yeah, this is the Europa Park in Germany. In 2 weeks, here's the Cloudfest, actually. So I actually just need to walk over here, and I'm at the Cloudfest, which is quite cool. The first year I was the first year I noticed that there was a Cloudfest. I noticed it's 3 days late, but I was wondering why so many people with nice suits were running next to my office and all talked about or had those badges on. And then I realized that it's actually a quite large cloud convention. Right next to my office. That was quite an interesting part.
The number of people on Cloudfest is larger than the total population of this town. So that's
10K. I think they reached now 10K of subscription. So it will be interesting. So probably we will have some streams there, or actually maybe I stream from there at least for half an hour to show everything. Maybe just in special or something like that. We will be there with the WebBar team, and let's take a look. Awesome. So this is first of all the app. So what can you do in the app is actually you walk around and then you start to capture things. For example, you can say, hey, I was here in the Europa Park, for example. Here's this new Voletarium, and I can basically take a photo. This is what I can't do right now on my phone. So exactly, I only can upload it here on my PC or Mac in this case. So I uploaded a photo, and now we have the photo here stored. This is a moment. I coined that a moment. So you basically, it is a little bit large, to be honest, but there are some options to it. So it's not that far right now. The reason is that we actually need to develop it. And it feels way better when you have that actually on a mobile device, because at Tears is really large, to be honest. But the point is that you can make many of those, and you can combine those, and at least they, in the end, they are combined as a story. They will be connected. Those points. They have your images, videos, memos, all this kind of stuff combined, and then you can do something with that later. For example, you can create something in Canva with that. You can create a book. You can send it to someone, or you just reuse it in social media. And the idea of that is that we can, of course, do that with let's say your phone, Google Photos, iCloud, Instagram already. The point is that I know it from my phone. I have, 20K photos on my phone. Together with my family, we share an account. So even if we say, hey, 2 years ago we were there and had some good time, so it is hard to actually manage all those things. And the idea is that you go on a hike, you are on a travel, and you want to conserve, so you want to preserve this journey somehow, and this app shall help you with that. So this was my personal idea. So I basically built something for myself to do that, because I was an outdoor person, so not so much anymore, but I was going on through hikes and all this kind of stuff, and it was like I had thousands and thousands of images, unsorted, video material unsorted, and it was very problematic to create something out of that afterwards. And this app shall help you. So you do that basically while you're walking. So at the moment, somehow my IP location doesn't work. I don't know. It was working, or it is working. I don't know. So take a look. I think this is my home position. So I think this is a debug mode. This app is like you. Or can I just reload? I don't know. This is sometimes a little bit weird with the sensors here. So for example, yeah, exactly, now it's working. So basically, exactly. So you can just, for example, the big button, you just take a photo or you just make a video and you save it to the position where you are. And the idea is if there was already let's say a moment in the next, let's say 50 to 100 meters, it will add it to that moment. And if you walk to the next street, to the next vista, to the next museum or whatever you want to take a photo, this is the next moment and will be automatically connected to a story. And you can change the stories, you can create new stories, combine stories and do something. So where at the moment what we see is just a very bare bone version, a very first version where we can do roughly the very basics. We can create photos with large cameras and we have web workers which scale them down, process them into thumbnails, process them into the original and some photos which we can upload later. So there's a file system already implemented within the app, so I can display it here. So for example, we have that in this case here the moments. I will go through the Notion board and explain the terminology for you to understand that as a precursor for the project. So we have moments stored here, and a moment in this case is, so those three are demo moments, they are hard coded, and we have here another. This is basically the data model for the moment. What we have here is basically a data set, a JSON data set, and we have a media ID, and this ID is then referencing to the actual ID, media asset, which is then stored as base 64, and so it's basically referenced through the table. And we in later stages, when we start to have server-side implementation as well, for example, the first version of a server-side implementation is basically just a synchronization with iCloud, Google Drive, OneDrive, and Dropbox. This is planned, so this we will do this as well in one of the basically when we have the basics done. So when everything is done, we start to synchronize that. So at the moment it is not synchronized, so in case you delete the app, your stuff is gone actually. Exactly. But we don't have a focus on a real backend, because this would we are not strong enough just during the stream to create this, right? So we only focus on the front end sided features right now. So this is basically the start. So we have stories. There is a story already, so I can open it. There I have, this is actually German words, but I have a nameless story opened, and it's actually not really jumping to that one. So this is a bug at the moment. I can take a look where it is. It's probably somewhere in Germany here, I think. And there we have a story. Yeah, this is at the moment a little bit opacity, so it's still buggy. There should be lines in between. It isn't at the moment, so maybe we don't mind that and take a look at what we're going to do next. So as I said, we have here the file system, and in a moment I will go through what the actual ideas behind that stuff is and what the rough roadmap will be in this case, and what we're going to do today, because we can of course not just do in 2 hours or 3 hours too much in this area. So what we need to do is thinking step by step what we can do, what we can refactor. There are some things already get a little bit old in that code base, so in order to make that good, we need to refactor those things. There's something, or let's say the first steps inside the app were very like a prototype, because it was a prototype in the beginning, and then I changed my mind, so I started to refactor already. And we will do that as well, because this show, especially on Thursdays, is often about refactoring. And TDD, for example, we will practice those things as well and show you how we would do that in a code base which is not the newest anymore, which is mediocre in quality, and how to make this, how to improve this code base. Maybe we even implement CodeS or something like that to have a static code analysis tool, which helps us to track it, and all this kind of stuff. So it should be a jam, a mixed project where we can show you a little bit about those things. Oh yeah, sorry, the fonts, right?
Yeah.
I missed that mark, but yes, true. So this is what we're going to do. So I would go through quickly through the storyboard wiki. So the Storyfy. So this is actually a name, so it's about stories, right? And we have. Oh wait a second. We have. Or I've prepared a little bit of. Can we reach that? So, 1 second. Should be readable right now, is it or not?
Just give it one more.
One more. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Much better.
Better. Okay.
Yeah.
So it is basically about memorable private moments, and the description. I think I've went through it already quite decently. I think it's about capturing moments and share it and synchronize it for, let's say, first of all, private purposes, private, family, friends, something like that. Later on, in later stages as well, probably as a public version, depending on how far we come. Yeah, I've prepared some visuals here where it displays how it works, the current implementation. Actually, Notion is not made for this.
And it makes sense, you know, because when I travel to my parents' place and let's say we spend a weekend, we generally end up with different photos of moments that we spent together as a family on like 7 different, like on everybody's phone essentially. So we have 6 different devices with photos from a family event, and then we sort of, you know, we were sending them to each other through WhatsApp and Signal, and then
you will lose it over time again.
And you will lose it over time, yeah. And then somebody has to be technically savvy to have a NAS or a cloud storage or sort of import it into their iCloud synced photos, but it's a lot of manual labor to actually synchronize all of them, because generally the photo sharing over chat apps or social media happens individually for a photo. It's very difficult to sync an entire gallery as a package, you know, with the exception of perhaps Facebook, but Facebook is sort of going out of style for the reason that it's very difficult to co-own photos. You know, it usually has an owner, and then it's difficult to delete stuff and tag stuff, and there's copies of the images, and it's just complicated. Also, nobody in my family uses Facebook, so it's also that area of friction. And only half of my family uses iPhones, so the other half is on Samsung Androids. So we also have an ecosystem problem.
Yeah, and there was my problem. So I had tons of data, and I had those moments. I even remember sometimes, or my family remembered moments, and it took us so long to get to this moments, and sometimes we weren't able to find it. And when you find it, you have, let's say, tons of photos. So we tend to, if we just do using our normal smartphone as a camera, we tend to really hammer photos into so even the same scenery is sometimes 10 times photographed. And I think having an app for this, which is where you try to get one good shot, it is more valuable to do that instead of actually, getting a series of one moment, and then you have 20 moments, and this is just 50 images, and it is not nice to see this, right? I have some more. Yeah.
With the caveat that so Adrian and I, we are not UX designers, we are not product designers. We are focusing on the product leadership and on the engineering side of things. Just for that caveat, if somebody's expecting, wireframes and what's the fancy lo-fi wireframing tool everybody's using? It ends with a Q. No, it ends with a Q. It has the catchy name. Where is it? Balsamic. balsamic.
I know,
Yeah.
I don't know that. Now, the point is, as you said, we are not no product designers, yet we have some experience in that area. And what you will see is, I think, a very decent session or sessions where we create something and we will get to the end point in, let's say, something usable, which is decent in design. So I'm pretty sure it will be. And actually fulfills the purpose. And we see the entire way, everything we are waffling about, like TDD, continuous delivery, will be implemented and improved during the session with the same code base. And I think this is actually an interesting, let's say, foundation, which that this app is aligned to our actual sessions in OTJ. And even if someone wants to join and join us on a session, yeah.
Yes, that. So this is primarily today a pilot session. So we're primarily doing this to see, to get feedback, to learn from it. Is the beard and acceptance test? Yes.
Yes.
Yes, Raul.
Yes. I'm still growing. Yeah. It's actually a race. Who's getting faster to that point?
We both have 2 kids, you know. Going to the barber is not high up on our priority list.
No, I don't have time for barber, right? Okay. This is the only reason I have a beard, right? Okay.
So I wanted to highlight that we saw an exemplary show of curiosity, learning, attendance, entertainment, and fun from the episode with Nick Shoemaker. And Nick had a great kata prepared that he presented in 2.5, 3 hours. There's a recap about it already on our OTJ mediums, and I personally also recapped it on Crafting Tech Teams. And we're trying to figure out how to replicate that episode that we had with Nick, right? So what's the focus on? What topic what combination of topics you're interested in? So with Nick, we saw that the combination of TDD, clean architecture, and the React frontends is a good fit because it highlights that aspect of senior React developers who want to learn TDD, junior developers will want to learn React, but also if I'm doing that, might as well learn TDD. And then really, the advanced levels were basically going into this detail of how to abstract things, what are the trade-offs, when to, how does it make sense, in what context does it make sense, etc. So we're doing something similar here. We're primarily trying to get feedback on what combination of topics you're interested in from the perspective of PWAs, front-end, Next.js, continuous delivery on a mobile app that's being compiled to PWA, service workers, etc. So if you can leave us some feedback on what you find interesting, what you don't find interesting, if you have any questions that you would like us to sort of explore more deeply with what's on screen, just send us a note. You'll probably see some Tailwind in there as well. So
you will see Tailwind, you will see Next.js, you will see React, you will see Cypress component testing, Cypress end-to-end testing. You will see Recoil as state management. You will see 10-stack query as server-side. I don't know exactly for what right now, but you will see in the future. I
haven't used 10-stack query anyway, so I'm.
And we have preparation inside the project for GraphQL because it is actually a boilerplate we use in the company. So it is prepared for being a fully fledged app. It is not in used version anymore. So we have, I think it is Next 12 and not Next 13, and it is not React 19 right now, which is coming out right now. That can be an interesting topic as well to migrate React versions. But first of all, we have some components there which were definitely prototyped, and we still need to refactor them. They are too long, too many contexts inside one component, and refactor them, test them in the same moment, TDD-driven refactoring. We will do that. So I probably will go then and share this repository with Dennis as well, so we can both work on that one. And if you like to join us on some point in some session in the future because of a specific topic for half an hour, please feel free to do so. But I will now jump quickly into the description again. So because we have a rough overview already, what's this wiki about. Maybe I'll make this wiki public on some point. So we have moments. Well, moments is the point in time where you want to store something. In the very beginning, this app was called Journey Jar because you can jar your journey, actually.
Right.
No, but now it's Storify.
Typical engineering naming.
Yeah, it is. I got it. Sorry. No matter. So, and the moment is when you say, okay, now I press the button. So I just do it right now. So imagine I would have a moment here, right? I just say, do something, or still not the version with a photo. But now imagine I would have taken a photo, and now I've created basically a moment. I can move this moment around. This will be locked later on because I thought it was a great idea to be able to drag and drop it. Then I moved my moments away every time I was scrolling the map.
Yeah.
That doesn't make sense. So this is my own feedback. But yes, so this is basically something we need to implement later. This is, I think, already a ticket in the board. You can then add images. They're missing still plus buttons. This was another approach, so I don't like this. This will be changed as well over time during the session, so I could then add more photos if I find them. So we have a 1x1 purple test image, and then I basically can swipe them around. And later on I have, as you can see here, if I update it right now, I have created a new moment, which is actually, there is like a label and even a description, which shall be there. I removed it because I haven't liked the implementation. But here we see we have the image, we have the original. So this is the image to use. The original one, which is stored as well in high quality. And we have the thumbnail version. Each of those are already stored with their respective dimensions. So we see here different dimensions, the MIME type, and we see the media ID. And as I said, the media ID then is the actual, that one is the actual here. So here you would have the representation, and this is the actual image you see. So none of those images are really like assets we load from a server. So they are all stored within the local database, IndexedDB in this case. So not file system. This is
what's the QR code you mentioned in the pre-show?
The QR code. Okay, so let's quickly go through the moment, and then I talk about the shareable moment, which implements that one. So the instant moment is what I just said. You are somewhere and you take a photo and you take a video, something like that, and this will be stored in that moment in a persistent mode on your phone and later on your iCloud or whatever, which does backup basically automatically your data. And others of your family and stuff like that can have the data as well. So basically the map will fill it up with a family journeys as well. That's quite cool. And if you are if there is no other moment in 100 bits exactly, and it would add to another existing moment if you already have that done, because this is about resolution. So let's say if you're on a hike and you are at one point and you just move 3 meters, it is still the same moment. If you are moving to the next intersection, it is another moment. So this is something we need to think about, maybe make this configurable for the end user. And possible, it is videos, images, and voice recording at the moment. So you can even use it as a memo recorder to say something about what you've just said. Later on could be interesting in connecting Canvas API, for example, to create templates where you talk something and you see videos and images, a little bit of music. Because I'm a web to print person, web to publish person, this was my domain. So I like to create visual artifacts out of digital data. So this could be a later on project as well. Then it is all about, we always store the geolocation data and the direction we are looking at, which means that it's important for vistas. Imagine you are on an apex, or is it apex of a mountain, right? You stand, for example, on a vista somewhere, looking down somewhere, and you will have a point of view, like an angle in the front where you see where you were watching into the direction. So this data is actually stored as well and can be updated if the sensor of your phone was not working or something like that. This is a minor gimmick, but I really like it personally, right? You have the author idea, which is quite important if you have multiple persons, and let's say you go for a public moment, which is a concept I share as well later. So later on, there will be server-side components where you can make a moment public. Then you don't own the moment anymore, but you still own the assets. And this is something we need to have. And you can attach a moment to a story, which actually is a sorted version of the story. So you could create some kind of travel thing. You could create a animated path and all this kind of stuff, right? You could make like Indiana Jones stories, right, on the map. So you could create something like that later on, which is quite cool. The context menu, you can. This is what I said. Moments shall not be draggable by default. You can share it, and you can edit it. So it's quite simple still, and it will grow over time. So what is a shareable moment? This is the topic for today. A shareable moment is a shareable vision. A shareable vision is a location a user can share via URL link. With other users. The idea is to share it via digital devices or locations via QR code or NFC printouts or similar. I have here a NFC chip, this one, and a white one as well. And the idea actually was, I had no time to do that, to make a little printout where you have a QR code printed. Maybe I do that next time then, and an NFC code, NFC chip, and a URL, and a little bit of description. So you can actually place that somewhere, and others can then scan it and just are instantly inside the PWA in that moment and can edit images without having an account. Which could be quite interesting and does offer some things. So as you see, it is very, let's say, a very visionary process we're doing here right now. It is not like, hey, we have a big product vision, everything is already defined. It is not. It is a rough framework. What you see is just my personal preference, things I like to do. And we are happy about your feedback and what you tell us about that, right? So first of all, the method A is share a location. The user just shares an interesting location, just like a vista or a mountain in a city. Others will be able to reuse that location as a spot that they travel to and take photos, videos, moment themselves there. So it is a little bit like outdoor active, or how is it called again? This just geo thing.
There's quite a few.
Yeah, right.
Where Asia has been using one.
So imagine you are going to.
No, wait. It's. What is it right now? No. Where you gotta request somebody and you have to make a photo, like without editing it, just what's in front of you right now.
So this is a nice area, for example.
It's a Gen Z app.
So imagine we have here at TTZ, which is a nice place.
I think it's got Labs.
Do you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, good. And we could, for example, we are here at just as a. This is a little. I think there you get bratwurst, which is quite good, and. Let's say they had some kind of sign there, and then you could take the photo, and you can take some photos of the lake, which is quite cool, and then you can share it for yourself or have a public moment there. This is the public version, maybe, which is then reviewed and signed and something like that, and people can basically add their moments there. And this is what I've done with that image here. Can I do that larger? Is it possible? Hello? Yeah, double clicking. Okay. Probably many people know that. I've done that already myself. And this is the idea of that. So this is basically a synonym for that. You have a place where you share something, the same idea with other people, and you can share moments. So this is basically the idea. And this is then the share a moment. Users can share existing moments. Okay, it's a little bit wrong in grammar, but this was made for a specific group of people. So you can make it available for a specific group of people, like a family, or you have it received privately, WhatsApp, Telegram. Everyone who has access to the moment can add and remove media assets and to add the story. which is missing here, only removing what you self-edit, right? You can't delete other stuff. So very basic moment. So, and here we're coming now to the point, which is actually topic for today, which is the QR code. The shareable location looks a little bit like that, which means that we have the SL parameter, which is, this is the shortest version I personally know to share a location. So I don't only have one parameter as a CSV actually, comma separated file. There's comma, and there are two basically latitude and longitude. So basically the both coordinates. We have it here as well as a syntax, but we could have it as well as a short hash ID of the moment when there's a public moment or a shareable moment. That would be the shareable moment and the shareable location. And what we're going to do today is to create a function with TDD, which in a test environment with Cypress and component testing, which creates this QR code. And we test if this QR code is then existing, and if there's time left, we will implement this that you can actually scan this code and go to the position. I'm not sure if we can do this because this is not just a position where we need to jump to. This is actually then locked to a moment as well. Actually, this one is locked to a moment. This one is just locked to a position. So we need to take a look how we're doing that. So there would be, there's a question, right? Is it? Do we have questions? So maybe we're going through the questions real quick.
The new question is only from Anjana. So Anjana asked if you can add a tag. Maybe helpful to share and connect, perhaps.
Add a tag. So just a hashtag, or just tags like searchable tags, like lake, museum, campsite, something like that. Is it that what you mean? So that we have, that's actually a good idea. Yes. So it is feedback driven. So
I can see all the parents who are also developers sort of gravitating towards this. Anjana says yes.
Exactly. So I just implemented that. So go back to the share.
Some text so that it's easier to index, brain parse, so you can find things.
Okay. And for everyone who's watching right now, we are here to show you something, and you feel free to ask questions to any time. So we are just regular human people, right?
Jump in, grab this. Yeah.
Exactly. Talk to us, even if you want to join us quickly to have ideas or something like that. We can share your link. We have no problem with that. It is about learning and learning together. So we learn here as well, right? We always learn when we develop something. And what you will see is not perfect, but we will improve that. And this is about it. So we both will improve that code base over time. And let's go into it. So we are going to do something. Maybe I have the shareable story. Stories, public moment, what is Storify cloud storage. I think we're going through that in the next sessions. So this is a little bit the wiki, but we have as well a board already. And the board, there are some tickets, so don't mind, it is not a fully fledged project management I have here. This is just for me to orientation. It will probably grow over time. But today we have the QR code location. It's based on the shareable location. I already picked some NPM package. I will quickly show it. Okay, I'll show it now. So we will use this package. So still we are based on React. And what I don't want to do is do anything like creating something which was invented 5,000 times already myself, like QR codes. I don't want to have to. It is really boring, and it is not what I want to do actually as a developer, to create little packages. I'm passionate of assembling things to apps which people can use. So I'm more on this level because probably I'm a mix of engineer and CTO and entrepreneur. I like to create usable stuff, right? For a broader, let's say a broader audience, for really people who see some value in using what you've just created. And I'm not, so this is probably one of those things. I'm not an open source developer. I've never done that, and somehow I'm not too interesting. So my point of giving something back is to talk about that on stream and blog. So this is what I do actually. Okay, now enough waffle. So let's take a look. quickly, a quick sub thing. So when we take a look at something like that, this is a package, right? So we have a React package. It's about QR codes. It is based on TeamSpeak. TypeScript, sorry. It is published 7 months ago, and we have the last publish, and it has a decent amount of downloads. It's not great regarding downloads, but it's okay. It's growing. It does not have a lot of updates, and the point is, it probably doesn't need a lot of updates because it is, in the end, a quite simple thing which doesn't really change because the standards around QR code don't change that much, right? Of course, we already used that one, so for quite a while already. And I can say it works. It is not the very best thing out there probably. And if you have anything where you say, okay, I have definitely a better solution for that, which is easy to integrate, and this is one of those qualities, we want to keep it maintainable, which means that this is important that we don't take something which just have 100 downloads a week. This is something we cannot use because there is actually no chance whatsoever that we will get updates if we need it, because this is another thing. We need to take a look what actually is implemented. So it's based on QR.js, and we can take a quick look at this. So we always should take a look at the dependencies. This is wider used. Of course, this is basically this is not the abstraction. This is the core version, while we are using an abstraction. So of course, it's more used. It is last published 11 years ago. This is a little bit more concerning, maybe. But anyway. Okay, I've saw that this now for the first time, but yeah. So if anyone is aware of some better solution, please let me know. But actually, QR codes always were something like somehow I really never find a great solution where I say, oh, this is really great. And you have those SaaS services, but those SaaS services are either very expensive or you need to have, basically they track your codes, which we don't want to have. We want to be basically we want to own the process in this case. So this will do the job, but we need to make a note for the future that we might need to refactor that out or substitute it, quality of substitutability. So we need to build the code that we don't build too much on this package. So this package need to be substitutable by another one in the future, which will be implemented later on if we find a better solution. Okay, we don't have a little bit here. It's quite a lot actually, but it's still okay. So in the React world, you probably don't find that many packages which are actually, how can I say, without a lot of dependencies. So let's go into the project. So first of all, we have. I'm using IntelliJ. I'm a big fan of IntelliJ. This is WebStorm.
You have to increase the font size here as well.
Hello? Wait a second. Do I need to open something in order to do that? My detailed README file, for example.
Yes.
So is it readable now?
This is very good.
So we quickly go through README file. We are through. Let's go to the next one. So what we have here is we have a little monorepository without a framework, which means this is just a monorepository by having folder structure, nothing more. Because we found out for ourselves in our company we don't need anything. It doesn't really add up because the size of the apps, the scope of the apps, even if we do microservices most of the time, we still don't need it because something like the PaaS platforms we use, in this case DigitalOcean, is helping us actually a lot. And this is the first thing in a monorepository. This app is hosted on DigitalOcean App Platform, which is a PaaS solution. We have a spec here, and the spec is displaying. Again, this is not a secret. This is just a reference to a secret, so no worries. You can't use it without authentication. This is still the old name of the repository, and this is basically some kind of a little bit like a Docker Compose file, but it describes a very simple app, which is in this case
it's like a Docker Swarm config or Terraform, perhaps to to really set up the entire environment and how the containers connect to each other, not just the actual container.
Exactly. Yeah, no containers in place, no databases. It's just a static side. So what we do, and now we get to the point where we actually are, is at the client. The client here is a Next.js app. I'm not sure which version. Let's take a look.
It's not the latest. I already checked it.
Can you check it? Oh, wait a second. I need to.
You already showed it once.
So where it is? It is Next 13 actually.
It is 13. No, but React isn't the latest, right? Because we had this.
It's 18. 19 is just came out right now, right? Wow. So it is a little newer than I thought. I probably made an update last time. In the last show. Yeah. We showed it 2 weeks ago. I think I updated the next version. Yeah. Good. Then I've done that already. Okay. So we have a next version. We still have the pages router. So for everyone who's familiar with Next.js, it is not the app router. So there could be a session as well where we basically substitute the routers. That could be an interesting thing. For static web apps, the page router is totally fine right now. But in order to stay maintainable and continuous modernization, those aspects, those qualities, we can actually do that, right? Okay, so we have next to that jest configuration, which we can ignore. I will remove that. We only go with one solution, which will be Cypress. I don't run my scripts in the same IDE because I want to be able to restart my IDE. I have iTerm open, which is a solution for the Mac, where we have here the app running, and we have Cypress running in another tab. Cypress, let me take a look where it is. Where is it actually? I need to take a look where my Cypress is. There. Wait a second. It's hiding on another monitor, right? So this one. So I've just added a little test here because I installed Cypress today, and there's a test regarding a button. So nothing very special. So it does run, and there's only one specification for for component testing, and we start with component testing today. Probably we will add we will surely add something like a end-to-end test later on, but it is not really good for end-to-end.
Component testing for actually mounting.
And for TDD as well, right? Yeah. It is a little bit like you can do that, but it is a little bit like the integration part can be problematic in such an app as we are at right now, with no backend, no real integration. It is doable on some point, but not ideal. But let's get to the point. So we want to do something here. So let's quickly think about what we want to do. We want to have a component, first of all, which is creating a QR code. This is what we want to have. So we need a component which is in the end creating a QR code, which we can then use somewhere else. So my question now to you, Dennis, if you would design something like this, now we have the actual image which will be created, and we have this link here, the shareable location, this one here. So we basically want to create this link. This is of course always like the current host name we are running on, and we have this query parameter and this lat long location. And this is what we actually want to create. Would you create a component which does include the mechanisms of defining the location or processing the location in one component, or would you split it?
Objection, leading the witness. It's I would do neither. I mean, if I had to choose, I would do the component first, but I wouldn't start there.
Mm-hmm.
Like I would always start the application in such a way, testing, that I wouldn't have to create like weird, like headless or digital equivalents of what the UI will look like if I can start with the UI. Right. So if what you showed me is a link. If that link opens up a application in a certain state, it's that application in a certain state that I would start with prior to even thinking about the link or what the medium is, right? So I would just start, what does this open, basically? You know, if it goes to the page router, does one of the pages capture it, what's visible on this page. That is what I would start with. That's covered.
It's actually a good point, but I think we won't make it in time if we start like this today, because the app wasn't prepared for this. So in order to create some output, so we could build a receiving page, which is actually receiving those parameters and display it on screen. We could do that as a testing page and later on refactor it, right?
Yeah. But I would still, even if the link won't work, right? So what I would do is I would create a page, and if the URL is difficult to put into the PWA because it has to be triggered externally from the application, right? So you have to something on the mobile device has to click the link, and then the application essentially restarts or re-navigates in a different state. That's actually quite a complex feature to link. So what I would do is I would just build the component and add a text button to it, and then I would put the link into the text field, into the input field. That's what I would start with, right? So I could navigate to it from the UI, from internally, because it is a cross-cutting concern. You need Safari here and the PWA, and then in Safari you click on the link, and then it changes activity. It changes the application, right? That's why it's difficult to test something like this. But I would then start with where do I land when that happens, even if the medium of the link exchange doesn't even exist yet. And then I would find a way to trigger it from that page if possible, or from a different page, right? So I would maybe add a button somewhere else, click the button, and I would then want to go to that page. And then I would slowly decouple the aspect of the link is triggered by the button to the link is triggered by being on Safari and outside the app.
So maybe we're doing something like this. I would create a receiving end, which is just reacting on the query parameters and taking a look if we have this. And if we have this, we put that into a form of local state. And we notify the user with a toast that we actually received a local state. And that's actually the first iteration to test that we have received a link successfully without having the components which are actually reacting to that new location, which we just received. Shall we do it like this? And then we go to the creation of the QR code. Okay?
Yeah.
Good. So to do that, it is not part of the QR code, so I just opened the folder. So probably this is then a shareable moment. So let's stay in the context. So many of the stuff we see here will be refactored soon. So this is basically an older idea state that we actually have it.
Don't promise anything you're not prepared to do right now. Let's assume it won't be refactored and we have to live with it. So
okay.
If a shareable moment is a feature, following clean architecture, this is a user journey. I like where this is going. Marcus, hello. Watching from Nepal. We're going international. I think that's the first person connecting from Nepal.
So
last time we had Nick on,
I just try to find Nepal now. Okay, where's Nepal?
It's over there, just under your cursor where your hand was.
Yeah, I was over it, right?
Yeah.
So hello to Nepal. Kathmandu, great. So let's do a moment there, right?
Let's do a moment there, yeah.
I can't. Hochladen. So we've just created a moment here somewhere in Nepal.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Okay, so receiving end. So I created a folder here. So this is something which many people do way different. I personally, or we in WebBar, prefer to do that like this because we think this is about coupling, or our idea of coupling and cohesion. The shareable moment is something cohesive. Everything which belongs to the shareable moment is something which should run into this very small subcontext of shareable moment. Then we can take a look at the board, we can take a look at the wiki, and we see the shareable moment here, shareable moment, and we have it represented here again as some form of domain language, domain-specific language. We always have hooks, state, elements, helpers, inside that. So this is always a little ecosystem here. So I can't really tell if this is in the other folders as well, but in our other project is. And so I start with that one here as well. So I create a shallow moment. And what we need now is to have a hook. And I start to just do it like I would do it normally as well. If anyone here is thinking that, hey, I could do something differently, let me know, because I want to learn here as well, right? That's all. Okay. We want to create use.
I would start with a test. I'm super uncomfortable staring at anything other than just starting a test.
Yes, let's do this. But I always create the let's say the functions first I want to implement, so I have them first implemented. But yes, we can do that as well. So let's go with that. We can always refactor. So I've created an empty hook, and now we create a test. So we have a tests here, or tests, and we create. How shall we call the test? It is basically. Do you want to quickly say something about how you structure tests? So are tests for you very atomic, or do you have files which with collections of tests?
I have tests which match the module in which the test lives. If this module is called shareable moment, I would have one or many tests in this folder.
One or many, so it is not precise. Okay, or not distinct.
It depends. It depends on the module, right? So if the module has, let's say, the shareable moment might have an aspect of the actual component and an aspect of actual QR generation. I might put those into two different files, just to cover the different aspects of it.
Okay.
The outside in and the inside, the outside in and the atomic approach. I might put them in different files. But if it's only 7 tests, I might put them in a test and then have separate described blocks inside a test. But I do want to. I don't like rules like one spec file per folder, and then that one spec file is 2,000 lines long. I find those kinds of rules to be.
I need to take a look because I need to implement this. I quickly copy it because I can't remember because of the Tailwind integration. I quickly copy
like
it.
These Cypress templates I copy as well. They're very difficult to memorize because I don't. Cypress has a very specific way of how state is managed in their tests. I hate just remembering that boilerplate. Teach the AI and then get it over with.
So shareable moment receiver, and what we want is the router. I forgot. So stupid. I just installed Cypress. The router probably won't work because we need to mock it.
That's fine.
And
that's fine.
Yeah, but last time I tried, I wasn't able to mock it. It wasn't.
No, but that's fine. We don't have to do it from outside in. Like the component shouldn't know about the router. The router should know about the component, right? So the component should be spawned with the SL being part of the props, right? So that is why I said initially I would start with the component and let's put the link into a text file so that we actually know what to do with it. So there should be something forcing us to write the hook that you already wrote. That hook has nothing to do with the query location.
The hook will take a look for that, not the component. So actually, this was my plan. I don't like to have a component watching for a query.
No, I'm not saying the component has to watch for the query, but the component shouldn't know that it's coming from a query. The component should know about the data contained in the query, but not the transport mechanism.
Yeah, the interface actually.
The interface of the return value, not how it's fetched.
Yeah.
Right. So it's important that we separate out the hook state, the hook management, and the hook return value into separate concerns. That's possibly the most important thing that Nick showed us, right? Is that the interface of something, an SDK returns this kind of return value is more important than the protocol for how the data is actually produced, right? So we need something that will give us a location without communicating that we are using a text-based query parameter. That's implementation detail. It's not behavior.
Shall we do it a little bit like pair programming? So do you like to do that? Because I would do it actually differently, but I want to include you a little bit as well into this process. So
Okay.
just give me some let's say ideas or commands. What should I do next in your opinion?
But I want the first test to be just producing delight, and I want us to visualize. I want to jump out of the unit testing world and into the sort of visual space as soon as possible. So I would say let's start with the 0 complexity implementation. There is a component, and it shows a shareable moment at a specific location, whatever that means.
I would quickly create a component as a testing component, because we probably don't have a.
We need to mount it. We need to mount it. That's fine. Yeah.
Exactly. We need to have a test to mount. So this is the test
And
mount,
that's-
right?
And that's exactly why I would start from this direction. Yeah.
Okay. So we have that, right? So we have the shareable moment, and we want to have inside that shareable moment. You can already do that. Is the use shareable moment? We have that now as well. So we have a wrapper. We can use this now inside the test and say here inside we can say mount. Oops.
Yeah. That's closer to what I had in mind. Yeah.
Huh? Yeah. Why it's not working? Am I stupid?
Careful with the JSX. You do have.
Yeah, it's not a no. It's
Yeah,
not a
yeah.
GSX file.
Yeah.
Where is it? The test there. So
Cypress might also require the browserify TypeScript plugin if you haven't, but it might be part of your boilerplate.
so let's do something very simple. Is hello world for the first data test ID. This is how I used to do that. Shareable moment test. Then we have that one. And we do that inside here and say get should. Oh, it's actually very small. Large, sorry. To be visible. No, visible. Exactly. So let's take a look if that one here is it. Let me quickly sort this a little bit. So we have a new spec, I hope. Yeah, shareable moment receiver. And it does work. Great. Uncode.
You just check if we mounted it correctly or for the CSS.
No, this is this one. This is deeper, so I need to actually do it like this, I think. Yeah, now it's working. Okay, now we have actually implemented the test first. We have it here. Is that still okay? Because it's
That's okay. That's okay. Yeah.
okay. Okay, so we have our
If you need vertical, horizontal space, we can turn off the inlet type hints for when you're streaming.
do what?
The inlet, so if you right click, like just right of props, you see how props says it's a shareable moment, like on the right side of props.
I don't know what you mean. What do you mean?
In line 6 at the far right,
Yeah.
if you right click and then
Ah,
say
okay.
type on it, yeah. So you
I wasn't aware of that. It's working. Okay. So we have that here. So yeah, this is still a boilerplate. There's a little bit too much at the moment. We'll take a look and refactor later. Okay.
I mean, what I would do in the test, I would say, if I give it a location, I should see a moment in that location or near that location.
Yeah. I would have the latitude.
Yeah.
So longitude, right?
Yeah.
Is that right? Longitude, latitude, both words wrong.
Sure.
Great.
Sure. Yeah.
So, and we want to have at least both. So we could create a state where we have that actually.
I would start from the test. You're jumping ahead.
Good. Let's go.
I
Tell
think
me.
this should make is the data test ID shareable moment test, is it there? Did
Yeah,
we
it
pass
is. It is. It is. It is expected. Like.
Then the test passes. Then I would add a test now or commit this.
Okay.
I would definitely commit this.
Do you have preferences regarding, because I'm tending to press this button lately,
I
and
don't.
just add the.
I don't commit in IntelliJ. So
Okay.
like you prefer to have the app running in the terminal and then you commit in the IDE. I prefer to have the app running in the IDE and I use Git from the terminal. So
I don't do that.
so
No.
I can't give you any advice here on how to do this. And what I would do personally is have semantic commits on the but you are doing that anyway, so
We don't
but I
have a
would have
ticket.
semantic-
Yeah. So it's not
no, but
connected to a ticket
I would
system.
do
Yeah.
semantic commits in the context of test parentheses shareable moment and then do this basically. That's how I would have structured it, right? So I would say I added a test or added a feature or added a bug or added a fix or added a doc. Do it like that. I haven't used recoil yet, so I don't know if we'll have to integrate into our overall application store, if we can just localize it. But in Cypress, we're forced to localize it anyway because we don't have recoil.
Good. So tell me, what is the next task?
I mean, going from zombies, I would say when we're on the shareable moment receiver, it shows the share component, right? So that's the test we have right now. This is 0. Now I would go to 1, which is if I say in the test statically what the location is, then let's say the integer part of the longitude and latitude should be visible somewhere on the component. So I would add a second test now.
A second test. Okay.
Yeah, so we had one test that said when I'm on this URL, when I mount this component has a visual space that I know how to query, which is this test right now. Right? So even if you commit this is now evidence to somebody who might, if you get sick from here on, this helps me immediately to pick up where you worked from. So this is possibly the most critical part of the project, to commit early, frequently, right? So we're showing evidence that we know how to render it. We know what data selector to use to capture it. We know how to inspect whether it is visible and that it is consistently visible. Now I would say it shows the longitude and latitude for a given location. Shows lat long for a given location. For given SM, yeah.
Then
So now
we expect. Oh, sorry. We expect probably.
Yeah, so I would mount it with a prop that has the location given in a string format.
Okay, this is the point where you don't want to have the. So you abstract the router from the component.
Correct.
Good. So
and later on, I would replace giving it the location by giving it something that can get the location. And then I would abstract that with a virtual service. And then at the very last test, I would put in the hook that was actually from the upstream side where you actually use the query location from the app router. That is
dear audience, please send us a lat long location we shall use as a home position here for this test. So Dennis just disappeared. Was it on purpose? Oh, I understand.
Yes, I'm here.
Okay.
I would have to take a break now, actually, because I bought red pitaya today. I don't know if you know what pitaya is.
No.
Pitaya fruit. I found some pitaya fruit, and it's very rare it's dragon fruit. It's very rare to find the ones that have the red flesh, which is very, very rich on iron, and I want to go join the kiddos. They're going to eat red pitaya for the first time.
Okay.
Yeah. So I would like to jump off for like 25 minutes, but let's write the test. Let's write the test.
Yeah. Okay, so we have show a moment. I have defined now a location, so we need to interface that location then as well. I can actually write the interface already.
No, but let's finish the test.
Let's finish the test.
So get contains should. Right. So we have. So
we have those.
If you get this container now you need to decide.
We need to have a number. We need to expect this number, or actually 2 spawns. We need to spans. We need to have them filled with those numbers, right?
Yeah, I would say the component contains 48 and the component contains 16. That is where I would start with. I don't want to overspecify it. I wouldn't create a new data selector for it, right? Just somewhere in the container it should say 48 and 16.
Okay, that's not as I would do it, but yes, let's tell me exactly what you want to have.
I want to have the same selector as we had in the previous test.
Mm-hmm.
So I just want to capture the component, right? Because right now I don't know how to organize it yet, right? Because maybe in the final project we won't actually have the lat long visible, but right now it's useful for us to show progress. And then in between get and should, I would say dot contains, and I would say dot contains 48, the text 48. Yeah, and we got lat long from Raul, which is this one for latitude, and this one for longitude.
Can I copy it? No.
No, not from StreamYard, I think.
I tried to go too quickly on YouTube.
Yeah, you have to open up YouTube to get it. Thank you, Raul.
It's a -1. I'm not used to minus. So we have latitude of minus.
Negative latitude, negative longitude.
Yeah, this is basically the lower half of the Earth.
That's South America, right?
Yeah. I'm so used to 48 in the beginning.
Yeah, so now I would say it should contain 38 somewhere, and it should contain 68 somewhere. Those would be the two tests that I would write. I wouldn't even say negative, right? Just 38 and I don't think that works. I don't think you can ask them that way.
How would I do? Two lines then, or two tests?
Yeah, like 2 gets. Yeah, 2 tests. Two.
You can do and basically.
Yeah, but I don't. It's like the format really forces you to put the important stuff on the right side, which is annoying for assertions.
Okay.
Yeah, this is what I would. Yeah.
So test fails.
Test fails because we don't have a prop, and now the test forces you to implement the prop. So now you would basically just follow the implementation, the errors.
Mm-hmm.
Add the longitude, and then actually force you to put the prop into the component, and then.
Sorry, can you repeat? I was a little 1 second away with my brain.
Yeah, like you would you would be forced to now follow the errors to add the prop to the component, and then actually to use the prop to actually put it in JSX in the HTML of the component to actually put it visually somewhere inside the component. Then you could commit that, and then you could visually update it. Okay, maybe you already have something in your design system that shows a map at that location, or just a screenshot of that location, and then I would start from there.
I prefer the prefix.
Yeah.
I prefer that. I don't like it without. This is just maybe from the past.
There is a React cheat sheet where you can have a generic where you say, I want the type of this component's props. That exists. I didn't know that last time we did Tailwind. I would recommend that you use that for typing.
Which one? Sorry.
React has a TypeScript specific type helper, which allows you to extract with content or without content or with ref or without ref to have a type helper, a utility type basically. Here's the link. I will drop it in the show notes. Oh no, that was the comments. But anyway, our viewers can check it out as well. Where basically you have these utility types or your type helpers that allow you to get the type of a prop. Right, so give me a TypeScript interface that matches the props of this component. That's what the type helper does. Right, and now the next step, when this test passes, because this one's trivial, the next pass, I would say, okay. We didn't give it an object, I think. We gave it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you had to format it differently to give it an object. And then I would basically, the next step would be to replace it with a hook. Rather than giving it a location, give it a function that can give a location. Right? So you inject a factory. Anyway, I'm gonna jump over to the pitaya eating session because yes, they are 80 euros a piece. So we're gonna have a little quick ritual for dinner time. I'll be right back. I'll keep my.
Are you still talking?
Yes, sorry. I will remove myself from stage and then rejoin you when I'm back.
Do that.
Okay, we are back.
So then I will quickly just go through it and take a look where we are at the moment. So we have here a number, right? It is number in this case. So quickly follow through. So this is a number, of course. Number, so they are both mandatory in this case because otherwise the location won't work. So what is wrong? Have I missed the point? Long. Okay. Sometimes long, sometimes LNG. So where we are at the moment is we have a new error now. We have this but not that. Okay, let's take a look. Here as well. The LNG. And we are done. So it doesn't look very well. Let's give it a little bit of formatting. So great, looks way better, right? So we have that location now. Okay, so just to wrap up what we just did, we have a folder now, which is based on the domain-specific language we use, the shareable moment, which is actually written right? Okay, it's right. And we have everything regarding that shareable moment context inside a folder structure. I personally prefer that. Leave me a comment if you do that in the same way or not, or do you think it's a great idea or not. But it turns out that it's very scalable and very maintainable, and the code base stays quite clean with that long term because you don't tend to mix things too much. And every time you implement something or import something from another component, you notice that and you are aware of that. And it's not like you have some form of boundary, even if you don't have a hard boundary. So you can import things, but you're aware of that. And I quite like that. So I have here a file called interfaces inside. We will have here all interfaces. So at the moment we just have the shareable location. And the reason why I structure this one that way is, first of all, I like to have the I in front of, so it could be a type as well. So we could have done that as a type. It wouldn't have with like this one, but in this case, especially when it comes to objects, I still prefer interfaces, probably because I grew up with prototype.js, and there we thought in interfaces. And yeah, we have the lat and long latitude, longitude. And we have very speaking language here. As you see, every component does have the entire speaking language about what's going on. So we have that up here in the folder structure. We have it up here. We can read it inside here. We know what's going on when we read the text. So I personally prefer, even if it's a little bit more to read, it is easier to understand. And this is what we basically learned in the last 15 years as a company, that the more you describe what you do by expressing it easily to digest, the easier it is for people to understand. things, and the more precise you are in those things, the less you start to mix things up. This is another nice aspect as well. So coupling and cohesion, again, I'm totally about coupling and cohesion in order to keep code bases maintainable. For example, we had that in another project where we had a database a dashboard backend where we had several sections which basically looking nearly the same, but they were a little bit different somewhere, and every time we basically had this, it was about products, categories, users, user groups, and we always changed a little bit of the interfaces, even though it was basically still nearly the same interface. But if in case of modifications, we don't tend to mix things up anymore. This violates dry, so don't repeat yourself a little bit, but it is, for maintainability, it is just so powerful over time that it's actually okay to do that. So this is my personal preference to do those things. And we have this shellable moment hook inside here. I had a little bit of different attempt than Dennis was, but I leave it in here now for further things to actually do. So what we have here now is we receive statically what Raoul just sent us. So we know that, and the task passes. So in order to make sure that, wait a second, I need to quickly build that. Oh, that's large. This is actually just to make sure I don't commit something which can't build. I try to prevent this. So I need to, there's something. Commands. I've already corrected that beforehand. I wasn't as smart. So let's take a look what happens in commands. Probably there is the commands file. I'll quickly take it from another file. This is not something for the session today, but I can quickly fix that. Where is it? There. Commands. We need to have actually, I think we can just simply do it by an export. So we don't need to fill it up right now. So let's do it again. Build is doing the linting as well. So this is the linting process. So I know it's working or not, and it doesn't work. So let's take a look. I think that I have a problem here, and I quickly fixed the problem by restarting my IDE and invalidate the caches. This is a specific problem to my setup right now. We can ignore that. And I probably see in a second, after my cache has recreated itself, some red lines I would have seen beforehand. I quickly let it run build so I can see it as well. The background is that my Copilot and my linter are fighting themselves, and sometimes the linter loses and just turns off. And I don't know why. So in line 12, we have a problem here. Expected an object pattern, no empty pattern. Okay, never mind. I even take it out because it doesn't fulfill any purpose, so we can reuse it then later. So again, this is everything right now. So we have still a warning. Yeah, okay. Hey, I've pressed the button. Optimize is not. Okay. Now it is. Good. Let's quickly have a summary. So it's working. So we have add test for not long to Shelby moment test. That's okay. Good. So we have a question. I quickly go through Raoul's question. If we got to use the type for location in many other places, will you repeat the same type declaration in all places to keep each component cohesive? So this is something we can discuss. This is actually a good point. This is actually a good point. So I think you refer to that one. So this is just a location, but locations can or will be extended over time. So we already probably have locations in here because it is already based. And let me take a look. Location. I location. Don't have a location right now. I don't know exactly where we have locations, but we will have them somewhere. The point is, yes, it does make sense to refactor that over time to not be, let's say, have it one time latitude, one time longitude, long LNG.
Things like this, I would always duplicate. Always duplicate.
Yeah, this is. I explained that in the beginning as well. I'm doing that like this one, not reusing components of an entirely different context or interfaces, just to have it like a dry rule, let's say, but because things change.
It's specific to this module, right? So even if you were to reuse it in a different module.
So what is exactly if you have something like this, right? If you have the on some point the altitude as well. So let's say you have alt, right? And this alt in this case is optional. In the other one, it is mandatory.
Yeah, here
exactly.
Yeah.
Or it could. So if you share a moment on Himalaya and share a moment in
Undersea, this type tells us where to open a page. Right, so it'll open the page and then you will give it your GPS signal or not, and then you'll get altitude from a different interface, not from this one.
That's not entirely true. If you share a location, a specific location, you share the altitude actually as well. So this is maybe was a mistake in the requirements actually.
But fair.
So, but let's for the sake, maybe we add the altitude later, right?
But it's very important that in TypeScript, types are what is this property called? Wait, I need to open up the theory. So types are structural, right? So the name of the type doesn't matter, right? So if you copy this type into another type, like just copy.
Yeah, it can compare it, right? Basically, right?
Yeah, just copy these two lines, 1 to 4, the entire interface into a second interface, just to demonstrate this. Yeah. These two types are equivalent. They're not a different type. In languages like Java, the name of the type is what matters. The binary signature of the type is what matters.
That's true.
In PHP, it's the binary signature of the type that matters. In TypeScript and to some degree functional languages and C and F#, to some degree C#, these types are structural in nature, right? So the definition has to match in order for the type to match. The name of the type doesn't matter, right? So I can take a type from a different module and I can copy it into my code and I can even change that type. So if that module is sending me something through a fetch request, I can change it. If it was defined with an interface, not with a type declaration, so not type equals, but export interface like Adrian just did, I can change any type that was publicly declared outside of my code base. It means I can change it because they only have to be structurally equivalent, not signature equivalent.
Yes.
Right? So in languages where you have structural equivalence, you never need to reuse your types. You can redefine them a million different times because it is the structure that is important. Right? For example, I can have a string of a certain type and it will be compatible with all strings as long as I don't define it as const. When I define it as const, that has a specific meaning. As const types have a very specific meaning. But that's a great question, Raoul.
Good. So we have committed, we have done everything, we have a running test.
Awesome.
So now, and what we've done actually, we have this test implementation. We see that in the test. Wait a second, this one here. Here. this is how we've implemented the component right now. So we could use the component anywhere, and we need to pass this right now. So later on in the real implementation, we can then, or just create a page then, test the page manually in the browser where we have actually a router. Where we have this, we route basically, or we map longitude, latitude from the location or SL parameter into that one. So this is already wrong for given...
Yeah, the name for a given location. Yeah, it shouldn't know where it comes. We just gave it a location. Yeah.
Exactly.
Now,
So
what we could do is rather than give it a location, we could give it a hook to a location. Right. So we could define, or we could reuse that. We could reuse that definition of rather than giving it a location, we can give it a hook to a fixed location.
I don't really get what you want to do with the hook right now.
Well, rather than giving it an object, a static object, we can give it a function that returns a static object. Right, so we can not memoize, but we can create a factory function to create this object.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, of course. Yeah. Now I know what you mean by that.
Because then we're slowly getting to the compatibility of the interface that you would use for the hook, and then you would basically encapsulate that into the component, and in the app itself, you would only add the binding to a context provider for how to connect the application state of the query trigger with the.
And let's go ahead because we are already half in the session, I think. Yeah, we are. So we should go ahead. So we don't have a QR code yet, right? So you have a plan. Tell us the plan, and I'll execute.
Where do you want the QR code?
What do you mean?
I mean, the QR code will be a link to a query parameter, or do we have any other alternatives?
The QR code will have this implemented.
Okay, fair. Well, then let's get closer to this. I mean, we will need... how in the router would we add this to the...
But we don't have a receiving end yet. We only have so we have this one here, which is actually the component which will display the received stuff, but we haven't yet implemented a receiver.
Yeah, so how does a PWA read its query state?
It doesn't have to do with the PWA, it's just a website. So we need to fetch the query parameters. In this case, Next.js does have its own way to do that with use query hook. So I would say, because the use query hook is very hard to, it's not very hard, but let's say I won't waste time now to get a mock router running.
But I would. Let's make that step because it's really easy.
Is it? So if you say that?
Yeah, it's really easy. Like rather than giving it the location, let's give it the hook.
Okay, now I know what you mean. Okay, I mean to meme the original Next.js router itself. You can do that as well. But
I know, but we're just one step away from giving it a virtual one. So like,
tell me what to do exactly in steps so that it is understandable for the audience as well.
Yeah, so it's possible we don't keep this test in this form. So let's just now enrich this test by saying rather than having a location inside the test, let's give it a function that returns that location. So on line 17, we can say use location or use.
You want to implement a hook here?
Use shared moment, yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Right, because the other ones is use shareable, yeah. Use shareable moment.
Is that still rendering? I just want to test it because of compatibility. Yes, it is.
Yeah, it imports, of course. That's the whole point. And then we say instead of location, we just give it the hook. But here we want to define not this hook, right? Or actually we can just make it static.
Well, what is your idea?
Put the hook in as a prop. So on line 18, rather than giving it an object, give it the hook.
The hook itself?
The hook itself, yes.
I don't like this approach, but yes, we can do. All right, let's do this, yeah. Because this actually, I'm not even sure if this is working because it's a hook. I can give a function inside of the or outside of the hook.
Yeah, that's fine. You can give
So-
it a function that calls the hook. It
So,
it doesn't matter. You can
So
say
so what is the method? What do we want? What is behavior in this case? Create location, pass location,
we give it a function. We call the function. The function returns lat long.
get location, not long. That one, yeah.
Yeah.
And this is what we're passing here in this case. Oh wait a second,
And
I
this is
copy
what
that
it
first.
returns,
It might
yeah.
be to my, and then get long. No, and I just
no,
like
you
that.
don't- On line 14, we don't need the curly braces. We don't need the curly braces on line 14. Just declare a variable const.
Ah, okay. Wait a second. I quickly.
Let's not use this one. Let's not use this one. This is going to be the production one. Let's not use this one right now. Because you created
Okay.
this one without a test, and it doesn't make sense in our current context. It's just going to be confusing.
Okay. And how do we want to name it?
I don't want to. I don't want to name it. Please don't create a file. Just go back to the test, and let's just put it on the screen first. Because it could just do it with a one-liner. Const. Const.
It is actually quite hard for me to follow you. You have thoughts, but you don't tell me the thoughts.
Okay, delete line 13.
Okay, so deleting a hook. So you want to create just a function
delete,
here.
No, delete. Yeah. So const get location. Delete what the AI. Thank you.
Like this.
I don't know what this is.
Probably.
I don't like the AI suggestion that you received. Just simplify it down to a function.
Probably this will give an error to the linter because it's at the moment not. In this file, it's actually allowed. In a component, it wouldn't be allowed to do that like that.
Yeah.
It's
and
exhaustive.
add the location we had earlier. So you need parentheses around. Yeah. This one. Yeah.
Do we do anything so I could do it like
It's already
this?
structurally compatible with that interface, so we don't need to define it. But we will need to change the interface in that this is no longer the object. This is now a function that returns the object. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Now we need to change the prop on the component itself.
What do you mean?
We need to change the type declaration on, if you go into share moment test, the location type is declared as this, yeah? Now it's a function that, yeah, exactly. And now when we render the component, you would say you have, the location is a function.
Mm-hmm.
So you would call the function, and then it would return.
A second. Possibly
It might be a
undefined.
typo. Yeah, so the location.
I do it differently. Wait a second.
Just make it.
The location must not be defined. Okay. I forgot that. The problem is I can't do it that way, right? No.
No, but you can do location or, like rather than saying location or empty, you can say location and inline it and check for amplifier.
Well, for this component, we need a location anyway. So it doesn't
but
really
this
make
will-
sense to make it
It will
optional.
break one of our tests.
Yeah, then we fix it.
Okay.
This is just a refactoring because otherwise we're adding
Yeah, yeah.
complexity which we don't need.
Absolutely.
And we don't need to capture things. So we need a location in that test as well. So we basically pass here a function like this as well. It doesn't matter.
Yeah. And it can be empty, or it can have 0, 0. It doesn't matter. Because we're not testing
No.
for it, right? We can even define it as the default value. The default might be 0, 0. Or we might give it an error state for no location given. This is not relevant to the test itself. This we can then refactor. Yeah,
Mhm.
perfect. So now we have a hook, and now we can control what goes into this, and we now have
Yeah.
an interface for this hook.
Artan was right. We could have done this as well. The point was missing. Yeah. Thanks, Artan.
Thank
Good. Let's go. Have I deleted something? Oh, we don't. Ah, come on. Yeah, anyway. Quickly, let me take a look.
Yeah, I think this is good. Because now we're slowly getting to creating a type.
Yeah,
So
it's just a 0. But anyway. Okay, good. So where we are at the moment, we have a new location. So we already created the function. It receives a function. So we can pass a function later on as well, which can be the function of a production hook.
we
Exactly.
can then hijack this declaration to a context provider, and then in the actual application, we can give it a context provider where the hook is coming from something in the Next.js stack that is router aware, which is probably in the router itself or the page router. Yeah.
So let's go ahead. So we have a test. We have tested it. Shall we start to implement?
Yeah. Maybe let's look at the page or the router. Like how infrastructure specific do we need to go? How do you have it defined? How is the project put together?
So we had at the moment just one page, which is relevant, which is the index page. We want to open the index page.
Yeah, so would I check this on the index page?
Well, the test component we wouldn't use it here right now in that implementation. So the real function here, is just for testing the functionality actually. So the real implementation would be that this would
the entire app end-to-end testing.
No, I wouldn't even. Yeah, it isn't actually. It's still an integration test. So we would need to integrate the map. We would need to jump to a location. This is what we need to do. This is a little bit more complicated, right?
But it wouldn't actually help us with anything, right? Because if it's not end-to-end, then it wouldn't have access to the geolocation API, and we might actually want to test it in such an environment. So what's the default route? Are we in scene? Are we in?
No.
If I click on the QR code,
here we land here. We land here in this file.
We land on index.
We land on index, which is called mapbox here somehow. So it's a little bit wrong.
If I land from a QR code, would I open up on a modal page, on like a create moment page, or would I land on a special page?
No, in this case you would land on the map on a specific location. So it is possible that we could do that like here. So we have basically
latitude. You have a home position already, right? So the QR code is telling us it's changing the home position.
It needs to change the home position. The home position is just a const right now. This is my home position, right?
And this definition is equivalent to the hook we just created. Right? It expects longitude and latitude.
Exactly. We need to remap it, but yes, it does.
We need to remap it, yes. The SDK does have some differences for reasons, but we have enough data to fully fulfill the requirements.
Yeah, that's true.
And do you have access to the query string? How would you access that? We use what?
The question is, first of all, now we have this in that file. Do we want to go quick and refactor later? Then we do it in this file and then refactor later.
You have code written that is not test covered?
No, it's not.
This one is not test covered. So I wouldn't, as long as we're in the context of that page and we want to make it work quickly for the purpose of the stream, now I wouldn't go and test cover this entire thing. I would just add the query code here. Because I don't want to write a test for whether Next.js's use router works. That's silly, right? Because I know that use router works. That's why I'm using Next.js. Hopefully Next.js has a test covered. So I don't want to test cover it. I might want to test cover integration. But we have already test covered the usage scenario pre-integration. So we're basically making the integration side. So from a perspective of if we were to do an end-to-end test, how predictable is our test? Our test is very predictable, except the query language, the query string integration. I would always be happy with that, right? Because it's just 1 or 2 lines of code that are not test covered, and we already have a very high degree of guarantee for the use query hook to work from the Next.js framework. So, I wouldn't have any sleepless nights just because these 2 lines of code were not test covered. just because they are provided by the framework.
Yeah. I need to quickly do something. I just did the wrong things. It is undefined. No, I just want to restart something. So SL is not defined. That shouldn't be.
So in Cypress, we won't see that, but we would have to mount the actual.
I'm not sure. I think it does have some problems with being server-side, because this query should work, actually. It's probably because it's inside the next page. Normally I don't implement that here too much. This is already a little bit too much. Normally it would be a little bit like we should start to refactor that one into its own component.
Is it statically server-side rendering without knowing that it requires to hydrate?
I'm not sure, because I haven't worked for quite a while, but I would remove this and I would do it a little bit different. So we have a map box. Do we have already a, wait a second, map box map? We have this one here. Webbox map, exactly. Okay, then we quickly do it. I quickly create, refactor something.
Can you print router.query? Maybe we can just use router rather than use query.
But still I want to do, because I really don't like that right now.
Okay.
Mapbox map wrapper. This is not a good way to implement this. So I remove this real quick. I move this into that one. Maybe I leave the fractions for now. But
you're basically creating a context provider, right? You're creating something for us to be able to control the query language through the hook.
Actually, what I do now is I move everything we've done into a component, so it is actually a little bit less exposed. So we have that here right now.
That it's on the client side, so it doesn't get.
I put that now quickly into a use effect, then I can get sure that we are right.
Yeah.
And we have that here as well.
Is the use effect necessary?
No, we will see. Let's take a look where we are at the moment.
Oh, you want the console log. I see.
I just want the console. Now it's working again, and we have it actually in output, but we don't have a thing right now, so we need to prepare the link. So I copy that one. I update it here.
Okay.
That's okay. We wanted to have Raoul's link, so we can take a look where it is. Where is it? There it is. We have the latitude of minus. We have this one. Again, then we have this one, and we start with the readme real quick. I just want to save it here. There we have it.
The sound of the kiddos getting undressed for the bath.
Okay.
And then they go into the bath and they're like...
So there we have it.
Awesome. Yeah. Was that your old test location? Because I don't think that is roles, and
there's a little problem that we need to tackle as well. At the moment, we have
that's not the
somewhere. No, we have. It is actually my geolocation.
So the console log is correct, but we didn't inject it.
Yeah, it's still the home position. So if we take a look at what it is actually. When we take a look without types, we see it's basically a string. So we need to split it up into, this is actually what we can do. So SL does, as you see, we have it as undefined, so first. So what we could do now, I would just do it and maybe some people can give us ideas of how we can do it differently. So I ask actually if it's defined, like this. And then we're going to log it, and then we're going to split it. It is basically, like this. Thank you. And we would have it now here as an object. The question is now how we want to proceed. Shall we go, in your opinion, for a local state? Shall this actually be a function? So how would you like to do that? So a way would be now to just have a use state and set this use state out of the use effect.
The test we have written, would the actual component that we're using be map box map? Because it seems like the test we have written with the fake component is actually equivalent to the map box map wrapper. right? So we can just match their signatures and move this outside of the app. This looks good. I mean,
what I personally like in those kind of scenarios is that this component is taking care for itself and not be too connected to the parent. So we won't reuse this box map somewhere else, probably, because this is the main app, let's say. This will be done later on in the abstraction. When we go from abstracting it, it would be here. There would be the abstraction layer where we can then later use Leaflet, Mapbox, or Google, for example, for the very same thing. This is the location where we should do that. So the question would be, let's do a very simple way, which is a very.
I would do it. I would do it. So lat and long together, they are defined together, right? So if SL is defined, then both lat and long are defined. Now that's an unsafe assumption to make, but for the purpose of our user journey, if SL is defined, let's assume it's in the correct format for now. And when it is defined, let's just inject on line 22 and 23. Let's give it lat and long. And if it's not defined, then let's give it home position. Right. So I would define it as local state.
Yeah, good. This is what I wanted to ask.
Yeah. I mean, you already have use effects, so we can do it there if you want. So your home position. So extract the home position variable, which is a constant right now. Extract that into state. So the constant at line 24 and 25.
Yeah. Okay. So what exactly do we want to do? We want to have an object. So let's because I'm starting things different than you do. Sorry.
Of course. And do it your way. Do it your way. We've been doing things my way. Just navigate. Just go ahead. Just do it your way.
Okay. Let's do this common. So I have a common one for that. And I already fucked that up. Is the location, set location.
Perfect. Yes.
That long. And in this case, it is basically we're starting with let is.
No, with home position. Yeah, we start with home position. That's default. That's it. Yeah, that's much better. That's what I had in mind, but it's done much better.
I sometimes I hate AI. Sometimes I hate it. It is so. What I missed?
First one is latitude. Line 14, home position dot latitude, right side.
Oh, latitude. Okay,
no, wait. Yeah, sure, but it's still wrong. The right side has to be latitude as well. Line 14, right side.
Good.
Perfect.
So let's quickly change this one. Latitude,
and now
longitude.
the use effect.
Actually,
if you want to keep the console log, you can change it. Yeah.
Exactly, and then we have the set location. Again.
Arton has a question, like why can't location be derived state in this case? In this case, in can be, but I don't think it will match our overall architecture because we will be injecting a hook later on rather than the actual object. I think to make it to maintain testability. But now I would start test covering this, right? Because now the two tests we have written should be when there's no given location, we should be on the home location. When there is a given location, we should be on the given location. Right. So now we can put this component into the test.
So can you repeat the next order, please? So we have set location. We want to test cover it now.
When you change production code that was not test covered, I would like us to manually test this now because we don't have.
Manually test. Okay, this does make sense. So let's go to the web. So it still works. Wait a second. It still works, yes, but it is not the location. It is not the location. This is What do you say?
Did it re-render when we went to the? Oh, okay. No, that's still.
No, it is not South America. It is. I think what happens here is that someone else, some function else, is updating the position, and I'm not sure where it is right now. We needed to take a look.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
Yeah. Wait a second.
Does it internally manage its?
This could be this one is
yeah,
not documented.
It's continuously matching to your geolocation, right?
It must be. Yeah, this is the point of the thing.
But that will happen as well to a real user, right? So can we turn it on?
Yeah, this is. Yeah. This, what do you say?
Because this will happen to a real user as well. So what should happen in this case? I mean, we found a problem in our requirements, right? I mean, the app is written in such a way that when I open this page, it checks your geolocation API, which means that I can't render a given location using this component.
Yeah, we need to actually decouple this function or let's not wrong decouple. So we need to put it behind a state. So there must be a flag if the app shall follow you or not, right?
But we already have that, right? So line 55. This use geolocation returns a data hook that is equivalent to what we have test covered, the hook that we have injected.
Yes.
Right. So rather than having state and then injecting, rather than having a semaphore and then injecting which mode am I operating in, just inject the mode that's being currently operated with. Right. So don't let the component decide from higher up.
Yeah, this is what I mean. We need to have some kind of app state where this, or a map state or something, a map wrapper state, which tells you if the map shall follow you. So you can have this location and you can have still your blue point. This point this can still be there, but this location of the map should not change to that. It should actually be somewhere here, down there. I don't know exactly where. So it's just a guess. Maybe it's somewhere else. Maybe we are on the wrong continent and Raoul is somewhere here. I don't know. Raoul, where are you from? Actually, we will find out. We will find out with that test. We will find out on some point. Okay. Okay. So map was held. So I have something logged a year ago. Okay. But the point is, shall we do it, right? Actually, we need to do that. Yeah. Otherwise, we can't. Otherwise, we can't see that. First of all, what I would like to do is quickly disable this one and take a look what happens.
Agreed.
Aha.
If it compiles.
It was for a second. Actually, it was for a second because of local re-rendering. Wait a second. I just want to find out where Raoul is.
The issue that we're having, right, is
that it's not working.
The components are controlling their own state, and that's the primary problem here. Right? So the location that is being rendered for the context of the map should be controlled by business logic, not by rendering logic. Right? So you have multiple. You are changing the lat long props of the current component.
Yes,
by virtue
it's true.
of the component managing its own state and knowing what the external hooks are, rather than inverting this dependency. Right?
Yes.
So which makes, and this is normal. This is what you would normally find in legacy code, where a component is being modified that only ever had one responsibility. Right now, we made the component have two responsibilities. Right? Which means that we need to invert the additional complexity and put it somewhere else.
But
the component need to have a constant, split brain of if this, then act this way. If that, then act this way. If I was acting this way, then don't respond to this mouse down, right? So we don't want to split the logic inside the component. We actually want the component to be injected behavior from the outside.
Wait a second. Maybe we are lucky quickly to our test purpose, because I saw a problem here, this latitude longitude. First of all, I implement this because there was another implementation of this is
you know the code base much better than I do.
So Raoul, have you found you? No, again, it's jumping away. So something is still pushing us away. So let me
I think you might have on navigation or on zoom, you might actually be changing the location. The location might be tracking.
It is not yet tracking. That was actually an issue that is actually not following you right now.
Because we did load correctly initially.
It is not set here anywhere else. So if I remove that, this one is not set. So this one is actually what is that doing? So initial view state.
No, but what about the map box itself, right? Because that is proprietary software. Did we tell Mapbox to navigate itself to your current location when it renders? Because you have fly to story, right? We might be flying to a specific story.
Yeah, probably one of those.
Right. So there are multiple behaviors here that are clashing, right? So, but that's the core issue here, right? So the all of the existing, us having added this functionality should have made one of the original tests fail if the original behavior was test covered, right? So I think now the best thing to do would be to try to test cover the behavior of the original map that is not test covered that we are modifying. I think that is our best chance to make progress here.
Yes, actually, yes. Yeah, we need to actually start where it's necessary and not where we like to.
I would try to mount this component in Cypress and see what happens. That is where I would.
It's a good chance that it works. Let's test it out.
Yeah.
So let's just write a test wrapper for this one. In this case, tests. Map box map test wrapper.
Danny has a comment. Danny says that logic inside useEffects should probably be used to initialize the state too. Otherwise, you might notice the change from the home location to the one coming from the URL params. Right. So he is describing flickering. Right. So if we are loading
that's true. That's true.
If we're loading the app on the home location, it might start an animation cycle and then get re-rendered, but the animation might actually not interrupt.
We're jumping too much around at the moment, but that's totally true.
The smoothness of the animation might actually not follow our data flow. Very good comment, Danny. Thank you.
This is we've done that with use state in the past as well, but this doesn't work in the latest React versions very good. So we use ref now for this. So we basically store the last latitude, longitude, I would say, as well. So we create an object like use state is last location, and this last location is islet long as well, or null. It starts with null. If it is basically, we could do it for the sake. We could create a hash, or we could just edit, or how could we do that? Because it's an object now. If I would be, we can say it is if this is defined and this is the first state we need to implement. This is basically last location is not, that it would work, and there we say last location current equals. We need to set it. Okay, then I basically pass it to a function. New location is new location is new location. Why is it current not working? And never. Where is it not defined actually? This is not necessary in refs anymore.
The object itself was not defined.
What is not defined?
The ref. You said the initial value is null, so it was never initialized an empty object. So if it's not initialized an empty object, you can't.
Yeah, but it should be okay to assign it, and this is.
But not as a ref, no.
Oh, wait a second.
Not as ref. Line 17, Adrian, as state, no? What do you mean as ref?
Ref, of course, ref.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because ref is more current than a state is, so you don't need to be too worried about the rendering cycle. In that moment when you check it is already done, you have always the latest version. So in the past we use
that seems like a hack to me.
It is not a hack. It's just a reference. It's just working better in this case.
Okay.
Because you have another problem when you use React and use in local. then you have oftentimes multiple re-renders in development, but not in production, which is, for me, a worse case, more bad scenario to you have, especially when you have more complex apps and APIs you want to chain and stuff like this. But I still don't know why this isn't working here. So current does not exist on type never. I don't really get what this...
Did you type it correctly?
I've typed it here. It is interface long null and it's inversion null. That's strange.
Is there a typo?
Oftentimes it's something you don't see, but probably we have an audience. Audience will help us. I don't have an error here.
Yeah, but you said the use ref I long lat or null, and then initial value is null.
And then I can assign something which is I let long here to current. Because I can't do it that way. I need to... Well, there's no current. New location, last location. This is a ref. Why do I don't have current? Is it because of that one? No. Now it's working.
I think that was just a...
Yeah, okay. No, never mind. It's true.
Oh, you guard blocked it on the inverse.
Yeah.
That's why. Okay, makes sense. I missed that part.
Okay, so because we actually want to set this every time, and we want to basically jump out or not do that because it is. Wait a second, I lost it a little bit. So we have that. We get the let long here. We define the new location here. We set the new location. We set this as well, and then we set if this. But we want to have a hash in this case. So what I would do now is we hash that simplified like a template string. So we change it a little bit.
But the React has help for this, no?
For what?
Let me Google real quick. React is a ref helper.
Now what I want to do is actually solving another problem. So I have rough longitude and
React has a
string here.
ref hook that does this.
You can show it.
If you want a unique one, but you don't want it to be unique. You want it to be matching the.
Yeah, and what I want to do here now is basically last location is not, and there we do basically we test location. It's not a hash, but no, let's code it quickly like this. We basically take, there's a plus, there should not be there. We basically take this one and we have the current location.
I mean, you don't need to do this because you have SL. You can just make it SL.
Oh yeah, so. No, what was SL still?
Just SL. I know it's user string. I know it's a user, but you can just make it SL without the backticks.
No.
Use SL as the default. If it's defined, you can use SL because it's already the concatenated string of the two values.
Yeah, but it is not
String
yet.
form of our long lat is that. So just use it.
I think it's better to use location in this case because we want to test the state we just set. In this case. Okay. Because SL, we don't have a proper test here, a guard, because we have the guard here. So we need to have a second guard, and I don't want to have early returns in the use effect.
No, but you wouldn't need the use effect anymore because you're using use ref. No? I mean...
okay, test location, correct.
But it's okay, let's make incremental progress. But
So
we're only doing this to make sure that the map stops jumping. If this does not prevent the map from jumping, then then we
have one jump. So let's remove this one. So it doesn't have an effect, and we have jump here probably. Jump. That's already wrong. And we remove it back again, and then we have actually a implementation. So, dear audience, if you see that, how would you change that? Please write it in the comment. Maybe
Copilot?
What Copilot?
I mean, you're using IntelliJ AI. Can you ask
Okay.
Copilot? Yeah. I'm also not current on the specifics on user folks.
Hold on a second.
Disclaimer: I'm not a
How would you
front-end engineer, so this is
optimize
new to me
the
as well.
use effect? Let's take a look what IntelliJ is actually ChatGPT on steroids.
I think so. Yeah, it has the IntelliJ. So it uses your IntelliJ cloud profile, your user data.
I already don't like that because I see two use effects. I don't like to have two use effects for this, to be honest.
But we are doing that, no?
We have only one use effect.
No, but the ref is also an effect. The ref is also a hook.
Yeah, but it is not re-rendering the component because it doesn't change because the dependency changes. So this is you can have the problem is you introduce that one, then you introduce another one, and then you have race conditions, and I don't like that. It is.
But we already have that. We already have race conditions. So
we have only one use effect. But we have in this file we don't have a race condition. We have just mitigated it by only rendering once when this stuff changes.
If you open it in the browser right now.
Yeah.
Open it in the browser.
Mm-hmm.
We should be on rows position.
Yeah. This is let's say a higher problem then. But I'm just talking about that component. We have just one use effect in that file. And this is what I personally prefer.
I don't see the benefit of us having done this. I mean, for the purpose of the visuals, it still goes to your home location. Or to your current geolocation.
Yeah, but this problem, I don't know what we're talking about, right? We're talking about this piece of stuff here. So this is basically the very same what we do, just a little bit different, split it into two use effects, and I personally dislike that.
So Danny mentioned a comment. I'm not sure what you want to use the state for, but so far it looks like what Artan has proposed is better. You could just use memo to replace both use state and use effect, plus it also solved the flickering issue. Yeah, I agree with this. We already have two effects and a ref. So what we're doing here is memoization, not so much that we want to control how it's done. But we shouldn't be doing memoization because we shouldn't be getting two values. Like we shouldn't be getting the map's geostate and the home location and the query parameter location. We shouldn't have all three. We should only have one. So we shouldn't memoize it because it shouldn't be changing. Right? So when we come to the home page with a query string, we shouldn't even go to the home location and we shouldn't even use the geolocation to navigate. So there is no flicker or no movement to fix because we shouldn't be moving. We should be on a static location. Right now, we're solving the problem in that if we assign one and then the other, there is this sort of promissified side effect of if I define the second one while the first one is animating, stop animation and go to the second one. And don't flicker doing that. But we shouldn't even be solving this problem. What we should be solving is that I have a rules location in the query parameters. If I open the application, it should never show me in any other state than the rules location. So this here per se is not following our sort of minimal path towards solving that problem. Like, if we don't have the previous behavior test covered, then let's test cover the previous behavior. We haven't done that.
Doesn't make sense. We don't need to test cover something which we'll need to remove, which we will substitute at some point later in the next days.
Let's turn it off.
This is what I've just did. This is what I've done beforehand to test it, but it wasn't still working. So
no, but that's what I mean. Rather than doing this, let's make it work. Let's force it to work. Let's remove code that causes navigation.
Okay. So I think we should then. So it was somewhere here. So
it's one of these. It's one of these, right?
Story connector renderer. First of all, why is that here inside? And this is due to the Mapbox integration, because Mapbox does provide a provider.
This
just
is
for you to know.
implementation detail. Yeah, so it's implementation detail to how the Mapbox
Current position button. So I would quickly go with first half and then take a look what happens.
Sure.
And then the second half. So it should be in the first half. Oh, it's there. It's the marker itself, probably.
Is the marker. The marker is forcing movement. Because it loads, and then it goes to the marker, and then it navigates, right? And then it zooms in. I think it's the one that zooms in. I can't be sure, because you know this project much better, right? So just...
I forgot it.
Follow your intuition.
It was just... I don't know, to be honest.
Danny mentions, yeah, agreed. If this is not going to have more expensive logic, then even skip the use memo and just derive the state. Const location equals. Yeah, so that's what I would prefer. Const location equals parse or home position. But I wouldn't even do that here, because we have test covered a component where that can be injected. I would do that on the app router level and just provide it with a context provider. But we can't do that. And Danny, to your case, we actually wanted to do that, but we can't because the responsibility for moving the map around is not isolated to one place. So inside the component itself, we also change its state with what Adrian is looking for now. So we have to turn that off first so that we can follow your suggestion.
So the marker, the problem of the marker is it doesn't react to a state. It does react directly to geolocation. Which is, this is the up here. So first of all, we need to disconnect that the marker does set the MePos is probably
let's change the hook. Let's change the hook.
What hook?
Let's leave the geolocation alone. And change the hook.
What hook?
On line 9, the geolocation hook.
No, this is a general hook actually.
Yes, let's change it. Let's make it injectable with what we want. If we didn't inject anything, it should follow normal behavior.
But this no, we don't change this hook. It doesn't make sense. This is a hook which just follows the geolocation.
Yes.
It serves its purpose. No. It is just in the wrong position.
No, I disagree. What we want is we want to say, when I'm asking for the geolocation for the map, give me the one that was supplied, not the one.
But we don't change the hook. The hook is still necessary to get the geolocation.
No, but the hook itself, not the geolocation hook, but what hook the component is using, should be factored in depending on which state we are. So
exactly, but this is not changing the hook. It's basically it is exchanging the hook.
So it is. I don't want the if statement here. The if statement should be on a higher level.
Yeah. So actually, what you want is actually to connect the me marker to a local state, which does have the local position and then renders the local position.
No, that's exactly what I don't want to do.
Why?
Because it moves it into the component. Because then we have to change it in every.
No, the app state is above the component. Recall, for example.
Is this, what does MB stand for? Mapbox, right?
Mapbox, right.
Me marker. Yeah.
Because there was another me marker beforehand, as far as I remember, for leaflet.
From a different map, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, it makes sense, right? Because you had hooks. So following the history of the project, you had 2 different hooks from 2 different implementations. It would make sense that you put the hooks where they would be most cohesive with the component. Mm-hmm. And that's exactly what happened here, right? But now the problem is that we actually want to go back to your previous level of extraction where the hook is actually external, and we want to control how that hook behaves. But we don't have that hook written because we also don't have it test covered. What is the simplest way to make this work? If you comment out geopos and you just say return.
The simplest way would be to really quickly implement a state, because we don't have a state for this context. There is no context right now for this entire map thing. What we could do now is in implementing a state for this, and we receive the state, the geopos, from the state, and then we can set the state wherever we want to, but not inside the component anymore.
But the geopos is only state when we're using the GPS. when we're not using
No,
GPS.
no, no, no. At the moment it is. But if we say we have a overarching state which is just a let long, this one here, and
at
just
the application level. Yeah, I agree.
exactly, and then you can decide
so
if you set it by geolocation, whatever location, home position or something like that.
Not component state, app state.
Exactly. So then
I agree with that. I agree with that approach.
yeah, apps. Not into the app state. What I don't like is have one single big blob of state.
Not in the router, of course, not in the router, but just injected in so that it can be supplied.
But yeah, let's have a mapbox state TS. This is a recoil state. Mapbox state.
I haven't used recoil yet, so
this is an old thing.
I can learn recoil real quick.
Then we have location. We can rename it later. It is a let long again, so it's basically a standard thing. Then we have a let long. It can be now. No, it can't be now. Let's do it. Let's zero it, as you suggested before.
So recoil is a global context provider that lives. Where does recoil live? On the page, on the app, on the router? Like, how high does it go?
It lives in the app. So wait a second. Do I have it here like apptx?
Or does it supply hooks?
No, it lives inside this provider.
That's it. Okay. So recoil. So it's in the query client provider, recoil root, and then map provider. Okay. Interesting. Cool.
Okay. So we have now basically a state, which is again in the cohesion model of Mapbox map. Which will be refactored on some point, but it's basically only to use inside here.
Anything. Don't promise me this. I'll see it when it's test covered.
Okay, so we have basically the recall. Then we quickly write a selector for this. So I quickly get because I get this old every time wrong, and we run a little bit out of time right now.
We should wrap up in the next 15 minutes.
Wait a second. I quickly want to extract this.
Don't dox yourself from anything important.
No.
You're on screen.
Huh? Where's my screen again? I want to disconnect that from the screen. Oh, come on. I just don't find the window anymore. Come on, we just do it like this.
You can just stop sharing and then you can just do it.
No, all good. Then let's say we have the Mapbox state location selector. This is the way I name it. Ignore the nano ID thing here. Somehow it is actually not like it want to have it. It's like the Mapbox location.
For the purpose of showing,
don't know,
for being educational, even to our reviewers for watching us do this, I would highlight that every now and then there is a, let's say, React recommended or Next.js recommended way of dealing with certain types of state. And when we don't know off the top of the head how to do that, I think we should stop coding and look at how to do that. Right? Because the aspect where we couldn't, where we had that semaphore behavior of when it's geolocation, it's state. It's basically when it's coming from the GPS, it's derived state. When it's coming from the query string, it is a prop. Expressing that that split logic made us go to the common denominator, which is just let's make it an effect and let's put state in it. But that is actually then the memorization side added another dimension to that, which we would want to solve to prevent flickering. But that is us solving the wrong problem in the wrong order.
Yeah.
Right. So when we encounter that, I think next time let's take a step back and see if we misarchitected our priorities in that context.
We did, of course, because what we haven't done is taken a deeper look inside the current code base. We just defined some requirements and what we can do. So actually, the intention today was as a precursor for the project.
We wanted to not touch legacy side of the system. But
Actually, no. The problem was we wanted to create QR codes in NFC. We just wanted, but now we are already totally into TDD and refactoring. And that was actually not the topic of today. So we actually, the first thing we missed is the topic. So maybe it would have been better to just create a QR code, just, just play with it. And
well, let's do it now. We still have time. Let's create a QR code.
But we are in the midst of a refactoring, so it doesn't feel very, very good. So I don't want to set back.
Let's abort. It's not working anyway. We're exploring right now in non-test covered code. Let's abort. This is fine. Let's revert back to our most known state.
Oh, I can push that actually.
And let's add a QR code that navigates here.
Wrapper, sorry. Something in the test. There. Oh, okay. We have just set.
That was too much.
What?
I think that was too much. You removed too much.
Did I? No, that was okay. I just need to. But actually, Mapbox wrapper test. We don't need that actually. So what we do now is we just remove. This was just an empty test.
Yeah. For the wrapper, not for.
Yeah. This is basically exactly. This is the Mapbox map wrapper. So maybe we need to rename it on some point.
It is structurally equivalent to the selector you were about to add to recoil. It is that wrapper that we are wrapping. Right? It is that recoil state that we are wrapping. Right? So it is the wrapper for our business logic, not for our hook state.
And we have Mapbox map. Oh, great name. Yeah. I can't read it anymore, to be honest. And we have here again just a home position.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's building now. And is it still working now as well? No,
it seems to be back in a green state. Make sure, did you install any packages while you were doing this?
No. Not during the session.
Not during the session, okay.
So, we have a state where we don't have a... Oh, no, it's working again.
Yeah, we're back. Okay. So, what do you want to do with the QR code, real quick?
Wait a second. We have this one, and we have this one, and this was this one. This, okay. So, I can now ask my friend to please wrap up what we've just done, because I can't remember. Yeah, that's true. That's totally true. Totally true. Of course, don't do that in a real production like I do it right now. So we just do it for the sake of.
It's just the AI generating text that no human will ever read. So it doesn't matter.
Exactly. And now my IDE is hanging. Awesome. Okay, QR codes. It will probably. No, it won't.
Something's indexing for you because I can see CPU jitter in your video encoder.
I don't know.
What did you want to do with the QR code?
First of all, we should create one. So I'm not sure that most people.
Why? No, but how does the user use the QR code? Where in the app does the QR code appear?
The QR code will be created inside a moment. So you can use the QR code for something like sharing something. You can reuse then to create some printouts, to share it on a video or something like that in order to get people to your location or moment. This is the original idea. And
so if you go to a moment right now, can we make that default behavior to just show a Hang on.
It seems to work again. So maybe I then close the files because it's a little bit too much for me right now. So let's get back into a state. Okay, so we want to create QR. I think we've done already something. In that case, we have QR code. There we do it again. So we create a QR code in the test right now. We just do it in the last moment. QR code test TSX QR code test. So we have this one, and we have I do it a smart way, I think. New spec, create from QR code test.
We are approaching bedtime, so I will have to jump off in 5 minutes.
Okay, let's try to quickly rush it. So we have now a test file. It renders it.
Okay.
So we have the expectation. So we make a very, very simple expectation. So we expect that you have a QR code with its data, and data will be a const location. No.
Like a base 64 encoded QR code image, or do you want it?
No. It is basically this one.
Okay.
It's just now. We were just rushing through now. Don't doing any fancy stuff right now anymore.
This is the best. This is the best way to write anyway. This is the best way.
I to be honest, I'm not so detailed like we've done it today. So QR code test doesn't have it, so we need to implement this. We need to have data. Data is a string in that case. We have data here. Then we need to have a QR. Oh shit! I need to implement. I forgot to install. Have I? Yeah. Okay, I have done it inside this README file. We have it here. Board. QR location.
You're making a QR code.
This package was it. Okay. Quickly sort it out because I always get a little bit confused. So we have the QR code here. So implement QR code. Implement QR code. Please tell me. Oh, thanks AI. Oh no, please no.
Is that the actual? Will it actually work? Is this a hallucination?
Wait a second. I think I need to hear this. And this is every time the same when this one. I need to reverse that because my brain is not functioning anymore. So now I'm doing like this, and we are good to go. So it is actually doing that because it knows about this one, but this is curious. So why is it not used? Because it's not installed. Install.
How can it know about it if it's not installed?
Because it can read and know the packages.
Out of bounds, so it assumes what the package will be even if you don't have it installed.
I'm pretty not. To be honest, I'm not sure if this is right now. Let's our QR code. Let me quick.
My intuition says hallucination. Yeah.
I know that in this project was a QR code display. I quickly copy and paste and steal it from my own doing. Again, a new one. This window. I'm so stupid today. Sorry, guys. I opened it in the wrong window.
We're coding live. This is normal. You're getting tired. I'm tired too.
I was thinking of actually not doing this today because I'm actually really tired. So, but we have a ref now. We don't need a ref in this case.
Now. We're doing it.
We're doing it. So we have the data. We have the ID. Or I can shorten it a little bit down. QR code. Test IDs come later.
Yeah.
We have some size here. I don't know. I let it in now. We have transparency, the level of detail. We have if data is actually there. So let's do a little bit like this for later purposes. Guard it a little bit. Actually, it's not necessary. You need to have it.
Need to have it. It doesn't make sense because what would the
okay.
QR code show?
Okay, then we have this right now. We have this test is now working. So we have a QR code rendered.
Beautiful, yes.
Is actually not beautiful, but let's take a look how we can improve that. So first of all, we have some viewport. Let's do something like that. Exactly. So let's grab your phone, guys, and everyone is scanning, and let's take a look what happens there. I just get it, so I can use it, but it's not the. Of course, it's the local host right now.
I have it installed. I mean, it's localhost. Yeah. It's localhost. I have Storyfy on my phone, so I could test it, but I don't have the right.
That would be for the next stream. Let's say to finish that one and be able to use that link and use the real PWA to review the thing. Let's do it for next week.
Yeah, what we can do next week is we can start from a moment marker, and we can have it navigate from the marker to the QR code, and we test cover that user journey.
But this will be more complicated because we don't have public moments right now. So in that moment, we needed to create a moment on that position. But that could be a thing as well. We could do that, of course.
I mean, we could add a small image into the QR code. I mean, it depends on how detailed the QR codes are, right?
You don't want to add images to the QR code. If you do that, you would create a reference to a server and receive an image from there.
Yeah, it doesn't have enough bandwidth, right?
No, you can do that, but the problem is that you don't have enough resolution in the QR code. You can't scan that.
You don't have enough resolution, right? So the image would be terrible.
Yeah, exactly.
It would not be the same image. It would not.
You could have, for example, a shareable moment. This is, let's say, let's take a look at here. This is this one.
Yeah, like if I was uploading something to tiny URL, and then the moment has the tiny URL image.
So if we want to have public moments, we need to have a backend where the backend does have an API publicly and just provides you the public moment with the ID of this one.
This is why I didn't want to start from the QR code, because in order to test the QR code, we need to have faked virtual interfaces for really key functionality that we don't have. The sharing of a QR code doesn't make sense. It does make sense if we do what we did today. To me, I mean, it makes sense to me if we say, if I have a location, if I have a moment with a location, my application navigates to that location.
No. I disagree. You can, if you just take a look at this one, if we go here and take this one, this location, and we jump into our Storyfy app, and at this location, inside the threshold of 50 to 100 meters, we need to define that, is no other moment of yourself, and it is not a public moment because it's not this link, it is this link, then it creates a moment and opens the prompt for you to take a photo.
And
this is a viable.
And that we can do without public moments. So without the image payload being made public in a centralized server.
Exactly, because you generate the image.
Yeah, so you are being shared the location, not the moment. But then I wouldn't call this a shareable moment. I would call this a location. A
shareable location. Yeah.
A shareable location. Yeah. But our test, if you go back to the test that we wrote, we were sort of constantly uncertain, are we testing this scenario or that one, or will it be an image, or are we creating an image, right? Because we need to be very specific in the testing scenario. And you said in the pre-show that you didn't want to go to high level of detail to make a testing plan, but I think making a testing plan, and had we explored all of these different nuances to the variation.
There was not enough preparation actually for this one. So maybe we should have just, in a nutshell, without the project, take a look at QR codes and NFC.
This was a good simulation. Of what usually happens in engineering teams. So I think this is a huge success in that regard.
But so what I learned out of that is First of all, what we can do next time, and that we need to rethink, or I need to rethink, because actually this was a plan while I was in a swimming pool on holidays. I thought it would be a great idea. So it was not a big brainstorming session with a lot of people. It was just myself floating in the water. So don't mind that. Okay. So then let me quickly tease what we're doing next week. Okay. So I will prepare for next week a little bit more. This entire project and the actual requirements. I will talk with Dennis before we actually do the event on Monday. And we will do the event on next Wednesday, a normal time. And I will talk with Dennis about that, and we will discuss if we are on the right track. And what we're going to do then is implement basically the context of the shareable location. So I will already refactor everything that we are what we are working on now is the shareable location. And the idea is then that you have a QR code, you can scan the QR code. At the end of the session, you can scan the QR code we show you on the stream, and you will be able to basically jump to the PWA, the real PWA, the live version of it, and jump to the location and take a photo yourself on your phone, which is not yet synchronized, but you can use it for yourself as a result for the next session. And to do this, part of the next session is to prepare a little bit that we have refactored everything we just saw now, where everything was put inside several components, which was not testable and actually quite coupled together. So the functionality of what is actually determining the position was a little bit like a big race condition and not very structured, because it was just a prototype at the beginning. So we need to basically refactor the prototype to a productive version, to a tested version, and then implement the behavior of the shareable location. And this is what we're going to do next time. Probably the next time is 2 hours, starting from 4 p.m. CET to 16 CET to 18 CET as normal, and we should be able, so I prepared in that way that we are actually able to be successfully doing that in that time on Wednesday. Okay, I'm happy to receive some feedback if that was helpful today for you guys. As we said, we haven't prepared ourselves. Actually, there was no preparation whatsoever. Just I think 2 weeks ago or something like that, I prepared the wiki, and that's actually it. So I wasn't aware of the code base. So I think, as Dennis said, it was quite successful. I saw several things I have done last year, which I'm not happy about. So I don't do it like that anymore. So this is the normal progression of things you do yourself over time. So it is a little bit like watching or looking at code, which another person have written, or you think it is, but it was me writing that code. And I don't like it. And there are several places where I would change it in some way, actually. Okay, that's actually an interesting point. I think I'm motivated to continue with the project, and I think especially next time when we have a real application scenario where in the end of the session there is a real application usable by the audience, actually could be a good start. So basically the audience, so Dennis already explained that, goal for the next session is, first of all, we prepare that very well. So I will do that, and we will discuss that on Monday before the stream. And then we're actually going to have the goal, first of all, to go for refactoring of the map integration we just saw, to make it able to jump to a location, open a moment, and take an image with the smartphones of the audience, scanning a QR code on the screen we stream. So we create the QR code inside a moment on a position where we are at the moment, and we share this via the shareable location, and the audience can create their own moment in their own devices at the same location. So this could be an interesting use case for next week. And it's doable. So I saw already that it's doable, but I will take a look how it actually, so that there are no roadblocks like it was today, that we are a little bit more fluent. And I would suggest one single thing, because I think we can just give me your opinion, you and the audience as well, is we could be a little bit faster, because I think that as we did it with the QR code now, I think it's more interesting to watch. So if we're going through the application and every time doing a high degree of thinking, we're probably not going to really succeed. I would say we're going a little bit faster through it. We do it test driven, but in the fastest way possible. So we do first and then refactor in the same moment. So we don't do test last development, okay? But we do still TDD, but a little bit faster, I would say, just for the sake of a stream, so that people can follow us. Because I think that that especially when the session is not about TDD, we are spending a little bit too much time to fiddle around how tests should be written, because there are 100 ways to write a test, at least, right? And we won't find the best test. I think we should write a test. This is what Brian Finster said last time. Just write a test, then you have it, and then go ahead. And this is what we should do. We should
But this is what we did today. We didn't write the perfect test. We didn't really define the qualities.
But I think we can do it faster.
Yeah, now we can, but today we couldn't have. Today we went at the fastest speed possible because you didn't have contact with the code base until 5 minutes after the stream, right? So we had this same situation with Jonathan, and I think, and Jonathan is coming back on Thursday to stream TDD with Go, and I see Ted. So Ted Young on Twitch, he streams Wednesdays. I don't know, like a few times per week he streams a similar project, and he does HTMX with Kotlin, I believe, but in a very similar spirit than what you and I were doing today. And I think, overarchingly, like zooming far out to making the stream entertaining, we should reward viewers who follow continuously, right? So we shouldn't explain the entire domain and the entire history and the entire scope of the future backlog on every stream. Because today that took us, so to present the series, to present the pilot episode, to set expectations, to go over the domain, to go over the documentation, to go over the project setup, to go over the project structure, to communicate the intent of the stream, we spent an hour and a half.
Then I will make the wiki public for OTJ community.
Exactly. So now that we have done that, let's codify that in a sense that if somebody asks us a question, hey, could you explain the domain of the application? We could tell them, watch episode 1, please. And today we're assuming you know it a little bit, and we're really focusing on this part of the domain, and we shouldn't go explaining the entire domain all the time, right? So the problem with the product is that we should shape the episode T-shaped. So we should assume that we can explain the feature we are working on, and we should work with some community-wide assumption that there's a lot of people who don't understand the domain, so they just follow through and try to keep up. And there are part of our regulars who do understand the domain, who have watched the previous episode. I think that would be the best reward system for everybody concerned, without us spending an hour and a half or an hour explaining the domain every episode.
Yeah. So next time we really should go into, so Wednesday episode, I think we don't have a guest. No, we go really with that project, right? We start 5 minutes introduction, and then probably Camilla will be with us as well, and then we're going straight. And I will start to code, and we will do it more like you comment what I do, and you jump in if you see a big thing, and then we're going through the feature. Then we get it done in the 2 hours. So we should try to get something done every time we're doing this.
Yeah, I mean,
there should be something.
Today we coded from minute 85 till now, but we were coding 3 separate features. We are coding a new feature that required us to set up Cypress, the mount test for Cypress. we explored an issue and explored the architecture in the legacy part of the system that is not test covered. That, to me, that's really fun because we have to learn, okay, we probably have to invert some dependency to make this more testable. And then what does it look like if we test it without having to repeat past coverage? And then we also went into the QR code side, where we want to make it more engaging for the audience. But if we just did that and didn't improve anything about the coding part and just removed that intro at the beginning, I think that in itself is a step up already in the streaming quality. Because, for example, Nick's presentation was very successful due to two properties. One, his presentation was very rehearsed, right? So he knew exactly what he would write. He knew exactly what minute he would run into what issue. And you and I today, we're exploring this code base as this is an old project that I haven't touched for 6 months, and we will sort of explore and try to implement something that I care about. And that is a much more exploratory nature of the coding session, and less so a curriculum based where I know that, okay, at minute 10 there's this problem, at minute 20 there's this problem, at minute 40 there's this problem. Because I see with Jonathan Hall, with whom we pair programmed last Monday, and with whom we will be programming next Thursday, we are actually creating something new that hasn't been created before by us in a new way. So it cannot be as smooth as Nick's presentation because it is not rehearsed.
Yeah, of course. It is. Nick said that this is a presentation he already did several times, and we just jumped in, took a look, what is going on. Then we saw that, oh, we have there a use effect. This is a use effect. This is actually setting itself. There is an entire different architecture in place and behavior of components that we actually intended in first place. We planned with another behavior because I think what I've did is I assume that this app behaves like current apps of us do, but it does behave like an older implementation we don't use anymore. And this was a mismatch in my head. And instead of taking a look, which I hadn't had the time, and this is a learning. We need to have some form of preparation, but not a curriculum.
Exactly, but that's okay because you shouldn't assume that next week you will have time. We shouldn't make that assumption. Our process should still work.
My business partner is telling me the same every time I promise something.
We shouldn't assume that we have evidence that things happen, and when things happen and the business requires your attention, your third stream in the week on a Friday afternoon is not your highest priority. But
what?
If you don't but if you don't cancel the stream, then we should still be able to hold it without you having to do the prep. So we should assume that life happens. If we now have the stream on Wednesday, then you'll be busy Monday and Tuesday. And
actually, the preparation is to go through the general implementation theoretically, take a look at the components, and take a look if it's actually possible or not. And this is something which was just missing. We are just talking about maybe a 15 or to 20 minutes of effort, which would have changed the session today. That is actually something which was just missing.
And that's product level, right? So it just requires a little bit of product insight, product leadership, product prioritization, because we don't have to tell the audience we're going to do TDD or QR codes or whatever. We just need to know we want to add these 7 features to the product, and then decide, are we prioritizing by fun? Are we prioritizing by useful feature? Or are we prioritizing by visuals which look fun or are entertaining on stream?
Okay, since we have the last... Sorry, yeah, go ahead.
And then just announce it, right? So and then we say, next Wednesday, we are building this feature.
Can you please give us a little bit of feedback in the comments? Because I don't know if it's Friday or the participation was different than it is usually. So, please give us some feedback how you liked it. And if you want to see more type of that content, because I think I will develop the app anyway, because it's a, let's say, pet peeve problem of mine. But the question is, do you want to see it? Question to the regulars, question to the new. We had some new. So, for example, Dani, thank you so much for giving those comments. Artan today, Raul, Ajana. That was cool. So give us some feedback. How did you like that? Do you want to see more? It's actually an interesting context for you, or do you think it's actually not that great? It's just just your amateur passion we're talking about here. It's possible. But we need to know, right? Do you want to see more theoretical stuff? Do you want to see more practical stuff? That's the question.
The feedback I received last time from the Nick episode that I invited a few people in for today was that the front-end stuff was interesting. We would love to see back-end stuff. So since this was a full-stack application, and I know that we have persisted, centralized sort of back-end moments planned, I assumed we would possibly do that at some point. So to actually use the entire stack of Next. I accidentally baited a few people who want to see clean architecture and TDD done on the backend side of things, because I didn't know exactly on which end. Are we going to be full stack or just full stack in the sense that we're just building localized features that don't require a central server? So I think if we could just highlight it more on the stack side next time, like we're doing front-end QR code stuff, or we're doing, and just one, or we're doing server-side synchronization of images.
Yeah.
Right, so that we can say, is there going to be more back-end focus?
The original idea was to have season 1 is totally front-end, and in the end of season 1 we have a synchronization with iCloud and derivatives, which means that
I wasn't aware of that. So
that is not about a real backend. It is about the client is directly communicating with their JWT and different things with some form of synchronization API.
With your own backup system.
With the key value storage somewhere in a cloud. And but in the second season, we could add something with a backend thing. So we could say, do we really want to go full stack in Next? Or do we want to even do something with Nest.js and Next.js, right? And say, okay, we still have a PWA. This PWA is fully client-sided. It doesn't have a server-side component because maybe we want to push it into app stores and shouldn't have the server-side things, because in Apple Store it is not possible to do that. You are not allowed to have server-side rendered components, as far as I know, because they want to see them during the review process. And this is what I heard. So I'm still curious if this is the case or not, because I'm thinking about that. Exactly. And that could be something. I know, for example, my business partner, maybe can ask him. He's a professional in Nest.js, for example, doing microservices. That could be an interesting thing as well, to just maybe a little bit, maybe it's part of, let's say, something over engineering likey, but it could be.
We would have to do another episode of just doing an architectural audit to even make sense of the service diagram from a topological level. That might require some prep. But it could be fun if we could announce it and prepare for it. I mean, sort of slightly rehearse it, right?
I have a theory why we don't receive any comments. I think that it's Friday and people are just chilling and watching us, and no one wants to type anymore. Yeah, I feel the same at the moment.
We had the same issue as yesterday. The LinkedIn Analytics crashed somewhere around the 2-hour mark. So LinkedIn might not be stable on long streams. So we should look into it, because I saw the same thing. People went from LinkedIn to YouTube and to X, and right now most people are watching on X. So there's definitely something wrong going on with long streams on LinkedIn. Because we had the same exodus yesterday. Anyway, I need to go. It's bedtime with the kids.
I go as well now. So everyone, thank you so much for watching and attending. We will just test it out. Yeah, we will just test it out. Yeah, okay. No problem. I haven't organized not that much, but yes, we will do it better next time. And I'm looking forward to it. And after next time, the next Wednesday session, where we expect most regulars to be there as well, we will probably get a lot of feedback. And then we decide if this is a season worth following, or we're just going to our old business again. Because I will do it anyway on some point in time in the future, because it's basically a hobby of mine. And we just take a look how it works out. So thank you very much, everyone. And without further ado, we are ending the stream in a moment. Just one clip in the end, just to enjoy a little bit. Some other guests we had, and we see us next Wednesday, 4 p.m. and Thursday, 4 p.m. Central European time. Good night, everyone. Good morning, everyone.
Good night.
Nice
Enjoy the
weekend. Bye-bye.
weekend. Ciao.
Ciao. So what is your personal opinion? How hard should it be to set up a pipeline, and how long should it run for a standard web application?
For me, it's within like 10 minutes. I should run completely. Ideally, with also, if you have end-to-end tests, they should also be included there, which also means you should not have a lot of end-to-end tests, but more of a unit integration tests that, and maybe some contract tests that give you good confidence. And I think a pipeline needs to have as much in it as you need to be confident that it works and you can. If you say, okay, no, let's maybe keep it a bit on staging so that we might find bugs accidentally by working on the staging system, that's like hope, and hope is not a good quality strategy.
I'm not going to do any features on this project until I have at least a minimum pipeline. But what is that? Like, when should that intuition be developed, and by whom on the team?
I have a thought on this, and for me, it's also like one of the first things I do when I start a new project is to have this pipeline in place and to have some basic linting, basic checks, have a test framework in there that makes it easy to write some tests. And then I can also, then it is the barrier to writing tests is lower. And often I think that's, and also with the pipeline, the barrier to extending a pipeline is lower than the barrier to creating a pipeline. At least this is my impression from working with teams, that often people don't know what it means to build a pipeline, and they think because they don't know it's something very complicated and that takes a lot of time. And then when they are asked, okay, how long will it take? They say, I don't know, maybe 2 weeks. And then somebody says, okay, then let's not do it now. We don't have time. We don't have 2 weeks for that now.